Chapter 598. Su-yi held the starry sky soul in his hand and asked Ling Qianxue weakly. He reckoned that the starry sky soul had been suppressing the divine scarlet dragon for so many years and had consumed too much energy, which was why it had not fully awakened. A sacred level treasure does not need to recognize an owner. It has already chosen you and absorbed it into your mind to nourish it with your soul. Naturally, it will be connected to your heart and will slowly awaken. Ling Qianxue's voice carried an undisguised disdain. Su-yi raised his eyebrows and felt helpless. He felt that there was indeed an invisible connection between him and the starry sky soul. This connection was very close, as if their hearts were connected. Keep. With a thought, Su-yi kept it back into his mind and nourished it with his soul. How do I get out? After obtaining the treasure, Su-yi was overjoyed and excited. However, he had to face another problem. In this strange space, he was still unable to get out. L2 VC boom coincidences appeared. Not knowing what was going on, as Su-yi's voice fell, this strange space suddenly trembled and there was a fluctuation of light. From the void above the surrounding space, the space began to distort and shot out endless light. Barbarian City. Located in a remote area, the border area formed a city of its own. As time passed, it gradually developed into the current bustling and lively state. Late at night, stars dotted the night sky. In Barbarian City, there were still places that were brightly lit and bustling. Su family, flickering lights, deep courtyard. As one of the 5 major families in Barbarian City, the Su family occupied a large area. Everyone in Barbarian City knew that although there were no outstanding talents in the younger generation of the Su family, as long as old Master Su Yuntian was alive, the most prestigious person in Barbarian City would always be old Master Su Yuntian. Even the city lord could not compare to this point. Old Master Su Yuntian's prestige was established through bloody battles and no one could shake it. Therefore, when Su-yi caused so much trouble back then, Old Master Su Yuntian spoke and suppressed it. Whoosh, in the quiet little city, a short figure quietly appeared in the void, like a ghost, and then disappeared. A short moment later, a short figure appeared outside the Su family. The figure stared at the 2 words, Su family, above the gate of the Su family. His eyes flashed. After an entire short while, this short figure leaped in without alarming anyone, and it was even to the extent that it didn't cause even a speck of dust to be stirred up. In a quiet courtyard, in a secret room, an elderly figure was seated cross-legged on the stone platform. His long white hair was scattered over his shoulders. One could clearly see the clear facial features of his youth on his wrinkled face. However, his complexion was rather pale at this moment. Chi. A short figure silently appeared in the secret chamber. If Su-yi was here at this moment, he would definitely be dumbfounded. This short figure was none other than the sword Yamasuruga from the 36th Sword Peak of Xinjian Gate. Looking at the old man sitting cross-legged on the stone platform in front of him, the Suruga elder's eyes moved. "Who is it?" The old man was startled and suddenly opened his eyes. His cloud robe fluttered slightly. In his eyes, there was a surge of light that gave off a sense of majesty for no reason. "You are Su-yi's grandfather, Su Yuntian?" Suruga asked the old man in a calm voice. "Yes, you are." Sensing the sudden appearance of the short old man in front of him, Su Yuntian knew in his heart that this was a terrifying expert. His strength might have exceeded his own expectations. "That's good." As soon as his voice fell, a bright light swept out in front of the Suruga elder, bringing a mighty aura with it and directly enveloping Su Yuntian. Night, mountains. A round moon rose in the sky covered by light clouds and shrouded the mountains. Chi, a figure suddenly appeared from the void and then broke through the air and fell. Bang! The figure fell and smashed onto the ground, causing the ground to tremble. Ouch! The figure immediately climbed up and touched the buttocks that had just fallen, looking around vigilantly. and the one who was smashed down was none other than Su-yi. That strange void suddenly stirred as the entire space distorted. After that, a vast force sucked Su-yi in, and in the next instant, he was smashed into this place. I'm out, suddenly, ignoring the pain on his buttocks, Su-yi's eyes lit up with joy. He was sure that he was no longer in the strange void. The surrounding mountains seemed to be uninhabited. Occasionally, there would be a few roars of beasts in the distance. Looking around, Su-yi guessed that this place did not seem to be within the Xinjiang Gate. He looked up at the bright moon in the sky and then used his body to leave. The next day, noon, Swordsmith City. This was a small city 100 miles away from the Xinjiang Gate, but because it was close to the Xinjiang Gate, it was quite prosperous. There were many swordsmiths in Swordsmith City. Although swordsmiths were not weapon refiners, some of the famous swordsmiths were not to be underestimated. They had extremely high status among ordinary people, and even some martial artists respected them. This was because not everyone could afford to buy dark weapon or spiritual weapon. The entire Swordsmith City produced a lot of swords, and even the disciples of the Xinjiang Gate would come down the mountain to buy them. It's a pity for Su-yi, the heaven-grade talent who reached the 7th level of the heaven-reaching platform, the champion of the Myriad Sword Conference, was killed by Yun Lingfeng in the end. It's said that Yun Lingfeng received great benefits from the Xinjiang Gate and will be the future of the Xinjiang Gate. No matter how good Su-yi's talent is, he has already been killed. Naturally, he is not as good as Yun Lingfeng. The punishment this time is just for show. What a pity, the heavens are jealous of geniuses. Haha, these are all matters of the Xinjiang Gate, they have nothing to do with us, but we have to be careful. It's said that Yun Lingfeng's backer is very strong, with the support of the Supreme Elder. That's why he dared to take the opportunity to kill Su-yi. In the bustling wine shop, Su-yi appeared in a corner of the wine shop with a broken sword on his back. His face was unable to calm down, and his eyes were slightly gloomy, suffused with a faint red light. After walking out of the mountain, Su-yi found out that he was outside the Xinjiang Gate. He unintentionally heard a lot of discussions and many people were talking about him. Only then did Su-yi know that it had already been a month since he entered the Divine Sword Valley. Elder Su seemed to have caused a ruckus in the Xinjiang Gate, but Yun Lingfeng did not receive any punishment. This kind of punishment was nothing at all. Huff, Su-yi let out a deep breath, and couldn't help but feel a sense of coldness in his heart. This kid is so strange. He's actually carrying a broken sword. Chapter 599. Only then did Su-yi know that it had already been a month since he had entered the Divine Sword Valley. Elder Su seemed to have caused a ruckus at the Xinjiang Gate, but Yun Lingfeng had not received any punishment and had only faced the wall for 3 years. This kind of punishment was nothing at all. Huff, Su-yi let out a deep breath, and could not help but feel a sense of coolness in his heart. This brat is so strange. He's actually carrying a broken sword. Suddenly, a voice was heard, and a drunk middle-aged man staggered towards Su-yi. It was obvious that the middle-aged man had drunk too much. His eyes were blood-red and he was drunk to the heavens. Su-yi raised his eyes. Under the probing of his soul force, this middle-aged man was only an ordinary cultivator, a soul essence stage cultivator. Su-yi did not want to bother with a drunkard, so he stood up and was about to leave. Brat, stop right there. This is Sword Crafting City. Are you looking down on our Sword Crafting City by carrying such a broken sword on your back? Su-yi stood up, but the middle-aged man was not going to let him off, and was about to pull Su-yi towards him. Su-yi's face darkened, he took a step forward, and immediately dodged without leaving a trace. So you're a martial artist. The middle-aged man was not completely drunk, his gaze immediately changed, he instantly shook his arm, and grabbed towards Su-yi's shoulder. I'm not the target of your drunken madness, you've found the wrong person. Su Yi's gaze became completely gloomy, and he threw a punch forward. Why faster? New fastest carat beyond M. The two of them clashed in an instant, causing the middle-aged man to spit out a mouthful of blood. He was immediately sent flying and smashed into the corner of the wall. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, the middle-aged man completely sobered up, his eyes filled with shock. This scene caused the entire place to become incomparably silent. Numerous gazes were fixed on Su Yi's body, and it changed drastically. The faces of the few middle-aged men who were accompanying the drunk middle-aged man also changed drastically. After a long while, someone hurriedly went forward to help the drunk middle-aged man up. The entire place was silent. Everyone present was silent. Everyone knew that this seemingly young youth was not ordinary. In the corner, a figure with his head lowered and his head was covered by a robe. He slightly raised his eyes to look at Su Yi, then continued to lower his head to drink, as if everything around him had nothing to do with him. Su Yi ignored the middle-aged man. He pushed the door open and was about to leave. What sword crafting city? They don't even have a decent sword. Let's drink some wine. Just then, a voice, a few figures pushed the door opened, and passed by Su Yi. Brat, are you blind? You bumped into me. A cold Su Yi stared at opened his eyes opened his eyes opened. Su Yi's gaze followed the direction of the voice. There were 4 youths who came in. They were about the same age as him, the oldest being 17 or 18 years old. They were well dressed and had a good temperament, but their attitudes were not flattering. Secretly sizing up the 4 youths, Su Yi was also secretly surprised. Judging from their clothes, they were definitely not disciples of Xinjiang Gate, nor did they look like they came from an ordinary mountain sect. Furthermore, the aura on their bodies surprised Su Yi. These 4 youths were not ordinary, even the disciples of Xinjiang Gate could not compare to them. The door is facing outwards, each side. I didn't bump into you when I pushed open the door, right? Be more polite next time. Su Yi was not the kind of person who would be bullied for no reason. He was already feeling uncomfortable in his heart, so regardless of the background of these youths, he was not polite with his words. Those youths were already unhappy in their hearts. Seeing that a youth of similar age actually dared to talk back to them, even in the sect, there was definitely no one who dared to speak to them like this, not to mention that this was the outside world, and it was even a small sword crafting city. Oh, I didn't expect you to be so arrogant. Are you a disciple of Xinjiang Gate? The youths stopped in their tracks, neither advancing nor retreating at the entrance of the wine shop. Their gazes were all fixed on Su Yi. A youth in a yellow brocade robe asked with a cold look in his eyes. Whether I am a disciple of Xinjiang Gate or not, it has nothing to do with you. It's best if you don't provoke me, or I guarantee that you will regret it. Su Yi replied indifferently. Brat, you are really arrogant. Even if you are a disciple of Xinjiang Gate, so what? In front of us, you will still be obedient. The youth in the yellow brocade robe was stunned, and then his face turned completely gloomy. Junior brother, forget it. After all, this is Xinjiang Gate. We just came out to take a breather. Don't cause trouble, or else. The oldest youth suddenly said to the youth in the yellow brocade robe. He stepped forward and waved his hand at Su Yi, saying, You can leave. Su Yi's gaze was calm. He glanced at the youths indifferently, then turned and left. Humph, this brat is lucky. He really thinks that Xinjiang Gate is something. The disciples of Xinjiang Gate can't even withstand a single blow. They are just SOSO, too lazy to make a move. Xinjiang Gate is nothing in front of our sacred mountain. The youth in the yellow brocade robe curled his lips and looked at Su Yi's back with a gloomy expression. He wanted to attack, but was stopped, so he had to endure it. This time, the elder had specially instructed them not to cause trouble. Otherwise, they would be punished when they returned. The other youths also said indifferently. This time, many of the younger disciples of their generation came. On the one hand, they wanted to broaden their horizons. On the other hand, they also wanted to look around and sharpen their skills. The accompanying senior brothers and senior sisters had also fought with their peers in Xinjian Gate. In the end, only the top few disciples of the Xinjian Gate's Sword Pagoda ranking had good strength. The rest were far from being comparable to the Sacred Mountain. These days they were bored in Xinjian Gate, so they walked around. It was not easy to get rid of the accompanying disciples of Xinjian Gate and come here. When they saw Sword Casting City, they thought that they could find a few good swords. They did not expect that there was nothing in this so-called Sword Casting City. There was not even a sword that caught their eyes. Sacred Mountain. Su-yi, who had turned to leave, suddenly stopped in his tracks. He suddenly turned his head and looked at the youths, asking, "Are you disciples of the Sacred Mountain?" In the tavern, the figure drinking alone with his head lowered seemed to have heard the words, "Son of the Sacred Mountain." He raised his head slightly and took a look again. His face was covered by a cloak, so his face could not be seen clearly. Disciples of the Sacred Mountain. But the people in the tavern all changed their expressions when they heard the two words, Sacred Mountain. Who in Zhongzhou did not know what kind of place the Sacred Mountain was? It was the most powerful force in Zhongzhou. In Sword Casting City, even in the face of the disciples of Xinjian Gate, the people of Sword Casting City had to be respectful, let alone the disciples of the Sacred Mountain, which was a greater existence than Xinjian Gate. Chapter 600. The yellow-robed youth looked at Su-yi with a cold and arrogant expression. He thought that Su-yi was afraid after hearing the words Sacred Mountain. Have people from the Sacred Mountain arrived at Xinjian Gate? Su-yi continued to ask as he looked at the youths. The two words Sacred Mountain stirred up waves in Su-yi's heart. He took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down so that his expression did not betray any trace of his emotions. "Kid, aren't you from Xinjian Gate?" One of the youths found it strange. Shouldn't the disciples of the Xinjian Gate know about the Sacred Mountain's arrival at Xinjian Gate? Could it be that this youth wasn't a disciple of the Xinjian Gate? Who I am has nothing to do with you. You just have to tell me, have people from the Sacred Mountain arrived at Xinjian Gate? Who are they? Su-yi looked at the youths and continued to ask. "Kid, do you know who you're talking to?" The youths from the Sacred Mountain finally couldn't take it anymore. The youth in front of them had been looking at them with disdain. How could they tolerate this? Just answer me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Su-yi said, his face still calm. "Kid, I think you're courting death." The yellow-robed youth was already boiling with anger. He glared coldly at Su-yi. "I also want to know if the so-called disciples of the Sacred Mountain have made any progress." Su-yi's eyes also turned cold. He was about to leave, but the self-introduction of these disciples attracted Su-yi's attention. "Arrogant kid, it seems that you're really courting death." The yellow-robed youth couldn't take it anymore. No one had ever dared to speak to them like this. On the Sacred Mountain, they were also personal disciples and had a high status. Outside, everyone had to be polite to them. Whoosh! In an instant, the yellow-robed youth made his move. Yuan Qi swept out from the soles of his feet. With a stomp on the ground, his figure immediately swept out. Yuan Qi condensed in the yellow-robed youth's palm, and with a vigorous and sharp wind, he struck towards Su-yi. At this moment, the yellow-robed youth from the Sacred Mountain did not hold back at all. He was using his full strength, as if he wanted to teach Su-yi a lesson. It would not matter even if he killed Su-yi. Even if Su-yi was a disciple of the Divine Sword Sect, if he did not put them in his eyes, what could the Divine Sword Sect do to them? Watching the former's palm strike, Su-yi's expression darkened slightly. He wanted to know the level of the Holy Mountain's disciples. His figure remained motionless as he watched the former's palm rapidly expand in his eyes. In the next instant, he shook his arm and sent out a palm strike of his own. Boom! The two palms collided with each other. There was no turning back, and a muffled sound was heard. Yuan Qi gales swept across the area, causing dust to fly everywhere. The ground trembled, and the door was directly overturned. Pfff, the yellow-robed youth from the holy mountain spat out a mouthful of blood, and then his figure was directly sent flying, crashing into the main road several feet away. The street trembled and the ground cracked. It was a tragic sight. Su Yi's figure remained motionless, but his robe and hair fluttered, and his eyes flashed with a cold light. Su Yi had never had a good impression of the people from the holy mountain. What's more, Su Yi also felt the former's fierceness and killing intent, so he naturally would not be polite. "Ah!" the yellow-robed youth screamed, rolling on the ground and spitting out blood. His entire palm was cracked, and his bones cracked from his skin and flesh. His palm was split open, and blood flowed out. His entire palm went limp along his arm, and was completely shattered into powder. This kind of pain was even more heart-wrenching. The figure drinking alone in the wine shop raised his eyes again, and on his cloaked face, there was a flicker of light in his eyes that disappeared in an instant, and then returned to calmness. Everyone was stunned. Originally, everyone thought that in the face of a legendary disciple of the Holy Mountain, the youth would definitely be in big trouble. Even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Who would have thought that the result would be like this? The remaining 3 disciples of the Holy Mountain were also dumbfounded. They stared dumbfounded at Su Yi, unable to recover from their shock. The youth in front of them was clearly about the same age as them, or even slightly younger. They were disciples of the Holy Mountain and did not take him seriously, but they were not so strong that they had misjudged him. This kid was actually so strong. Su Yi ignored the yellow-robed youth as he was sent flying. His cold gaze swept over the remaining 3 youths from the sacred mountain. Head be hair. "You, who the hell are you?" The 3 youths were frightened for no reason. Being stared at by Su Yi, they couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. "Since you're from the Holy Mountain, let's see what level you've reached." Su Yi's eyes were cold, and he immediately stepped out. Yuan Qi surged under his feet, and his figure appeared in front of the 3 youths like a ghost. As disciples of the Holy Mountain, and direct disciples of the Holy Mountain, these 3 youths were absolutely outstanding. There was no need to talk about their talent, and any one of them was outstanding among their peers. But these 3 youths had encountered Su Yi. These youths were also at the Yuan Soul Realm, and the strongest one was also a leading figure among his peers in the Holy Mountain, but he had only barely stepped into the Yuan Spirit Realm. Such age and cultivation were enough to shock the outside world, but compared to Su Yi at this moment, they were still far inferior. Bang bang bang, in just a few moves, Su Yi directly sent the 3 youths flying in the most overbearing and direct way. The 3 of them did not even have time to use their trump cards before they were seriously injured. "Ah!" the 3 youths screamed as they were smashed into the distance. Their bodies were covered in blood, and some of them had their arms broken, while others spat out blood and shattered organs. Against the disciples of the Holy Mountain, Su Yi's attacks were cold, and he did not hold back much. He deliberately dealt heavy blows. The 4 disciples of the Holy Mountain were all seriously injured in the blink of an eye, and the whole scene was stunned. Such a commotion had already attracted many onlookers, and they were all shocked. Su Yi's gaze swept across the surroundings. This was Swordforge City, which was only 100 miles away from Xinjian Gate. It was impossible that there were no people from Xinjian Gate here. In order to avoid trouble, he unceremoniously took the space bags from the 4 youths and left. After learning of Yun Lingfeng's punishment, Su Yi did not want to go to Xinjian Gate. Now that he learned that the people of the Holy Mountain had come to Xinjian Gate, he deliberately avoided them. Su Yi knew very well that although he had made some progress, he was still like an ant in the face of the colossal Holy Mountain. He could not contend at all. If he encountered the people of the Holy Mountain at Xinjian Gate and exposed his identity, the consequences would be unimaginable. Chapter 601. Without a doubt, the Xinjian Gate's punishment towards Yun Lingfeng had caused Su Yi to hold some grudges against them. Furthermore, if someone from the sacred mountain recognized him, Su Yi reckoned that although the Xinjian Gate was a large sect, it wouldn't be easy for them to protect him in front of the sacred mountain. Looking at Su Yi's departing figure, the cloaked figure that was drinking alone in the wine shop raised his eyes and disappeared. Aolo, outside of Sword Crafting City, in the desolate wilderness, a wolf-like roar could be heard. A blood-red light fluctuated and a ferocious beast walked towards Su Yi. This was the wolf-head demonic bat. Last night, Su Yi entered the mysterious space in his mind and brought it out. Previously, in the myriad sword battlefield, the wolf-head demonic bat and the profound sun-golden demonic falcon were both brought out by Su Yi. At this moment, the wolf-head demonic bat's aura had also benefited greatly from being in the mysterious space. It had risen from the 6th level to the 8th level of the demon spirit realm. After Su Yi leaped onto the wolf-head demonic bat, he immediately ordered it to leave. This place was too close to Sword Crafting City. It wasn't a good place to stay for long. From the information he received, the Xinjian Gate thought that he had already died in the Divine Sword Valley. Since that was the case, he might as well completely disappear. As for Elder Su's kindness, it wouldn't be too late for him to repay it in the future. Although the Xinjian Gate's punishment towards Yun Lingfeng had caused Su Yi to hold a grudge, he felt inexplicably unhappy. But when he heard that clan elder Su had actually caused a ruckus at the 15th Sword Peak, and even went to war, and in the end, only when the higher-ups of the Divine Sword sect appeared did clan elder Su calm down, causing Su Yi to feel warmth in his heart. Walala, on the back of the wolf-head demonic bat, the air whistled as Su Yi sat cross-legged with his robes fluttering. This time, Su Yi decided to make a trip back to the barbarian city. Look at the original chapter of $on section $. Su Yi had always been worried about his grandfather Su Yi's injuries. Now that the blood jade spirit ginseng had stepped into the demon illusionary realm, and he had obtained the profound essence soaring dragon elixir, Su Yi wanted to return to the Su family to treat his grandfather's injuries. The news of him dying on the way to the sacred mountain must have reached the Su family by now. The other members of the Su family might not feel anything, but Su Yi knew that his grandfather and Su Wanner, that girl, would not have a good time. He wondered how worried they would be. As for what to do in the future, Su Yi planned to make a decision after returning to Barbarian City. He estimated that the distance from Sword Crafting City to Barbarian City would take at least 10 days to half a month with the speed of the wolf bat. Most importantly, there was a part of the barbarian demon forest in between, which made Su Yi a little worried. The barbarian demon forest was already extremely dangerous, and with the presence of the blazing dragon emperor, Su Yi could not help but be afraid. Collecting his thoughts, Su Yi formed a hand seal and began to cultivate the Origin Supreme technique. It was a coincidence that he accidentally cultivated the Heart of Heavenly Sun, but Su Yi knew that only when the Origin Supreme Technique's Origin Demon Body was completed, could it be considered as having truly cultivated the Origin Supreme Technique. The first level of the Origin Demon Body was the Diamond Body, the second level was the Heavenly Origin Demon Soul, and the third level was the Heart of Heavenly Sunday. The cultivation of each level was the most dangerous tempering. In his mind, he searched for the fourth level of the Origin Demon Body. Su Yi wanted to prepare to cultivate the fourth level of the Origin Demon Body, the Void Immortal Ocean. The Void Immortal Ocean referred to the Dantian's Qi Sea, which was refined by the Origin Supreme Technique and turned into the Void Immortal Ocean. According to the cultivation method, once the Void Immortal Ocean was successfully cultivated, the Dantian's Qi Sea would turn into an endless immortal ocean. At that time, the body would be able to contain surging Yuan Qi, far stronger than those of the same level of cultivation. However, this cultivation method left Su-yi somewhat dumbfounded. In order to cultivate the void immortal ocean, one had to forcefully suppress one's cultivation. Every time one was about to break through, one had to guide the energy of heaven and earth and the origin supreme technique to refine the Dantian's Qi-Si vortex. This was repeated 9 times. Furthermore, this breakthrough required one to break through to the next level, and it was not something that could be achieved through small breakthroughs. For example, Su-yi's current cultivation was at level 8 Origin Spirit Realm. From level 8 Origin Spirit Realm to level 9 Origin Spirit Realm, it could only be considered a small breakthrough. From the Origin Spirit Realm to the Origin True Realm, one had to cross over a level before one could cultivate the void immortal ocean. If one could not break through after 9 rounds of refinement, one would have to guide the energy of heaven and earth and the origin supreme technique to refine the Dantian's Qi-Si vortex. This was equivalent to not only having to resist the huge temptation, but also having to forcefully stop the breakthrough. It was also extremely dangerous. This was going against the flow. If it was light, one would suffer from Qi deviation, and if it was heavy, one would directly lose one's life, playing oneself to death. Huff. Huff. After a long time, Su-yi opened his eyes on the back of the wolf bat. The cultivation method of the void immortal ocean appeared in his mind, and he could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Every level of the origin demon body was like torturing oneself. Every level was extremely dangerous, not to mention that it was enough to play oneself to death if one was not careful. There were not many who could meet the requirements. Su-yi secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. Breaking through was already extremely dangerous, but to forcefully stop the breakthrough and guide the energy of heaven and earth and the origin supreme technique to refine the Dantian's Qi-Si was simply playing with fire. Kid, an expert has his eyes on you. He has been following you all the way. Suddenly, Ling Qianshua's voice rang in Su-yi's ears. How many people? Su-yi's expression changed immediately. He immediately thought that it might be an expert from the Xinjiang Gate or the Sacred Mountain who had caught up with him. Don't look around or you will be in big trouble. Ling Qianshua's voice continued. There is only one. His cultivation is hidden very well. He has been following you since Sword Forging City, but he should not have stepped into the Origin Emperor realm. He is only at the Origin Void realm, but his cultivation level is not low. This person has been following you all the way, but he did not immediately take action. We cannot determine if he will take action against you. Don't let him know that you already know about him. Is that so? Su-yi pondered. It was only one person, and he had been following him since Sword Forging City. That person should not be from the Xinjiang Gate or the Sacred Mountain. An expert of the Origin Void Realm. But an expert of the Origin Void Realm with an unknown origin. Su-yi's expression turned solemn. With his current cultivation level, he was still far from being able to face an expert of the Origin Void Realm. Is there any way? Su-yi sat cross-legged on the back of the wolf bat. His expression was calm, as if he was unaware of everything. He asked Ling Qianxua softly. What can I do? I am just borrowing your body to be reborn. Ling Qianxua said to Su-yi in an unhappy voice. It should be that you have attracted this person's attention when you were in Sword Forging City. You are the one who caused this trouble. You settle it yourself. Chapter 602. Don't forget, if I'm in trouble, you'll be in trouble as well. Do you have a solution or not? Otherwise, it'll be big trouble later. Su-yi bitterly smiled. Judging from Ling Qianshua's tone, it didn't seem like she had no solution. That mysterious expert had followed him all the way here. Naturally, Su-yi wouldn't believe that they were on the same path. Humph! Ling Qianxua faintly snorted. She said in a bad mood, I borrowed your body to be reborn. Fortunately, I have recovered some strength. Although it is far from being comparable to before, the person who followed me here is fortunately only at the yuan void stage. If I can catch him off guard and lend you a hand, there might still be a chance. However, there is also an extremely great danger. What danger? Su Yi's eyes instantly lit up when he heard that. As long as Ling Qianxue had a solution, it was fine. I'm in your body, so I'm unable to personally take action. I can borrow your strength. However, you're only at the yuan spirit stage. If you're unable to withstand my strength, you'll suffer heavy injuries if you're lucky, and your meridians might be broken if you're lucky. Ling Qianxue's voice was much more serious as it carried a warning tone. Su Yi raised his eyebrows. It wasn't difficult for him to understand. With his cultivation at the yuan spirit stage, what level was Ling Qianxue at? She was a terrifying expert at the demon emperor stage. Although she was borrowing someone's body to be reborn, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. If he wanted to use her strength for himself, he would have to be able to endure it. Whoosh in the calm sky, a figure flew and followed Su Yi from afar. His gaze was cautious and careful. This person had quite a bit of fame in the central region. His strength wasn't ordinary. Most importantly, he was vicious and merciless. Furthermore, he had a pair of vicious eyes. According to rumors, no treasure could escape his eyes. Hence, people gave him the nickname of Blood Hand Ghost Eye. Those who knew Blood Hand Ghost Eye knew that he was always careful. Caution is the parent of safety. Hence, he had never encountered any danger. Hence, many people only knew of Blood Hand Ghost Eye's name. However, there were very few who had actually seen him. This time, the Blood Hand Ghost Eyes obtained a treasure, but it also attracted the pursuit of experts. He hid here and there, disguised himself, and came to the sword crafting city that was not noticed by many people, but was close to the divine sword sect. He thought that this place should be quite safe. After some time, it would be much safer for him to leave. But in sword crafting city, Blood Hand Ghost Eyes accidentally found the broken sword on Su Yi's back. His intuition and experience told Blood Hand Ghost Eyes that this broken sword should have a great origin, and did not seem like an ordinary broken sword. Everyone knew that Blood Hand Ghost Eye had an interest in collecting treasures from all around. It was to the point of madness. Looking at the extraordinary sword, Blood Hand Ghost Eye couldn't help but follow behind Su Yi. Seeing how extraordinary Su Yi was, he didn't even seem to care about the disciples of the sacred mountain. From the way he acted, he was definitely not an ordinary disciple. Following Su Yi, Blood Hand Ghost Eye discovered that Su Yi had a wolf-head demonic bat as a mount. This made Blood Hand Ghost Eye even more careful. Such a youth definitely had a great origin. If there was a senior expert by his side, it would be difficult to make a move. But after following him for so long, it seemed that the youth in front of him was really a person. He wasn't an ordinary disciple of the sacred mountain. The sad broken sword should be even more extraordinary. On the cloak, Blood Hand Ghost Eye's eyes flickered. Blood Hand Ghost Eye seemed to have made some kind of decision. The yuan qi on his body intensified and his figure suddenly accelerated. Be careful. On the back of the wolf-head demonic bat, Ling Qianxue's voice rang out in Su Yi's ears. Under the fluctuation of soul energy, Su Yi also sensed the aura and made preparations without leaving a trace. Qi, a figure crossed the void and immediately appeared in front of the wolf-head demonic bat. Oh! The wolf-head demonic bat roared. Suddenly, a wolf's howl was ear-piercing, and a bloody light filled the air. Hey, this evil beast seems to be different. Blood Hand Ghost Eye was most famous for his pair of sharp eyes. Looking at the aura fluctuation of the wolf-head demonic bat, he could see the abnormality. Such a wolf-head demonic bat was not simple. It was obviously much stronger than the ordinary wolf-head demonic bat. This proved that the youth in front of him indeed had an extraordinary origin and was not an ordinary person. Wolf-head demonic bat. Seeing that someone was blocking him out of nowhere, Sui already knew in his heart. He looked at the person without leaving a trace. He saw that the person was tall and thin, covered in a black cloak. His face couldn't be seen clearly. His head was slightly lowered, and occasionally, a terrifying light could be seen in his eyes. $, the person who came is not good. Suddenly, Sui had a judgment. The person who came was sizing him up with an invisible aura. The light in his eyes was terrifying, and there was no kindness. Who are you? Sui asked without leaving a trace, pretending to be a little flustered. The aura of the origin spirit realm on his body was deliberately fluctuating in panic. Facing an origin void realm expert, any origin spirit realm expert alone in this vast wilderness would probably be nervous. Who are you? Which sex disciple are you from? Blood hand ghost, I sized up Sui. Reaching the origin spirit realm at such a young age, he was naturally not ordinary. Being able to instantly injure 4 sacred mountain disciples was already the best proof. My identity is not for you to ask. It's best if you don't find trouble with me. The elders of my sect are nearby. Sui looked at Blood Hand Ghost Eye, deliberately showing a calm expression. His eyes secretly flashed as a plan circled in his mind. Ha 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 ha, so young, but already so dishonest. Blood Hand Ghost Eye laughed. This kid was obviously pretending to be calm. He had already observed the surroundings and followed him all the way here. This kid was all alone. What do you want to do? My sex experts are really nearby. Sui pretended to be flustered, his expression darkening. Kid, don't run around alone. It's very dangerous outside. Didn't your sex experts teach you? The sword on your back seems pretty good, let me have a look. Blood Hand Ghost I looked at Sui and said fearlessly. Senior, this broken sword of mine is nothing good. Sui pretended to shrug his shoulders subconsciously. Glancing sideways at the broken sword on his back, he finally understood that it was the broken sword on his back that attracted this person's attention. That was why he followed him all the way here. Kiki kid, you still want to hide it? If you don't hand it over, don't blame me for being impolite. Blood Hand Ghost I said coldly. He was even more certain that the broken sword was not an ordinary object. It must have a history. Wolf Bat run. Suddenly Sui shouted. Aolo, the wolf bat roared and immediately spread its wings. Its figure instantly turned and fled to the side. Blood filled the air as it spread its wings. Its speed was already at full speed. Kid, do you think you can escape? Chapter 603. Swish, the figure of the Blood Hand Ghost Eyes seemed to appear out of thin air. A wave of baleful aura fluctuated, and a blood-red light mist filled the air. A terrifying aura suddenly descended and enveloped Suyi's body in an instant. Swish, as soon as the claw reached out, the bloody light was terrifying. The surrounding air seemed to distort the void, and instantly enveloped Sui. Brat, you are courting death. No matter which sect you come from, you should not have run out alone. Remember this in your next life. The Blood Hand Ghost Eyes said coldly. This young man was extraordinary, and should have a great background. However, he could not be blamed here. Silently killing this brat, only the heavens and earth would know. Who would know that he, the Blood Hand Ghost Eyes, was the one who did it? Under the terrifying claw, the wolf-headed bat's body seemed to be restricted. A huge force crushed it, and it was immediately affected, making it difficult for it to flap its wings. However, just as the former's terrifying claw was about to land on Suyi's head, it descended like lightning. However, it was less than a foot away from Sui, and a bloody scene did not appear. Suddenly, the claw stopped. The bloody light in front of the claw seemed to have solidified, and suddenly trembled. In an instant, Sui suddenly raised his eyes, clenched his 5 fingers, and directly blocked the former's claw. Scarlet light filled the air, and the aura was blazing hot. Su Yi's fist had forcefully blocked the former's terrifying claw. At this moment, as if he had sensed something, the blood hand ghost Ai's face changed drastically, as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes under the cloak constricted. However, it was too late. Su Yi raised his eyes, the corner of his mouth raised into a sneer. With a cold voice, he said softly, "No matter who you are, today is your unlucky day." As his voice faded, a vast and domineering aura of destruction rippled out from Su Yi's body like a volcanic eruption, oppressing the area. However, at the same time, Su Yi's body twitched for no reason. His face was ferocious, and veins popped out on his body. It was as if his body had been pushed to a critical point by something, and it was as if his body would explode at any moment. The intense pain caused his face to become flushed red and swollen, causing him to look even more ferocious. Sensing the aura that suddenly surged from the youth's body, the blood hand ghost's pupils constricted, and his face changed color. A wisp of shock suddenly surged from the depths of his heart. Boom! In Su Yi's fist, a terrifying yuan qi power erupted like a volcano, and suddenly exploded in front of his fist. Rumble! In an instant, Su Yi's fist, which was glowing brightly, seemed to swell up. There was a clear sound of wind and thunder coming from it, like the rumbling of thunder. Not good. Blood hand ghost eyes quickly retreated in fear. It was a long story, but it all happened in the blink of an eye. Blood hand ghost eyes wanted to withdraw, but at this moment, the surrounding space seemed to have solidified, and it was his turn to be unable to escape. From Su Yi's body, there was a huge pressure that was like the awakening of an overlord, and the descent of an emperor. It also brought a destructive aura that swept out, causing the surrounding space to have a feeling of fluctuation. An unusually violent energy suddenly rushed out from Su Yi's fist, and fiercely collided with the claw of the blood hand ghost eyes. Boom! A huge gust of wind formed a wave of air, and directly shot out in the void like a storm. The wind swept out like a storm passing by. Puff! There was no turning back. The blood hand ghost eyes directly slapped out a mouthful of blood, and a caw-caw sound came from his claw, as if his bones had been shattered. "Boy, you tricked me!" The blood hand ghost eyes screamed miserably, and his body fell from midair like a bird with broken wings. A mist of blood poured out. Puff! At the same time, Su Yi, who was on the back of the wolf-headed demonic bat, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The terrifying aura on his body instantly disappeared, and then he became incomparably weak. Under the terrifying aura and monstrous wind, the wolf-headed demonic bat's body also swayed, and a look of horror appeared in its eyes. It flapped its wings a few times to stabilize its body, and almost fell. Bang! The blood hand ghost eye's body fell upside down, and heavily smashed into the barren mountain below. Gravel scattered, and he was almost buried in the ground. Su Yi waved his sleeve, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and slightly gritted his teeth, indicating the wolf-headed demonic bat to swoop down, and with the speed of a whirlwind, it went to the place where the blood hand ghost eyes fell. Carefully, and not carelessly, Su Yi stretched out his hand, and a wave of yuan qi condensed into form, shook open the robe, and a dozen space bags suddenly fell into Su Yi's hands. The appearance of the blood hand ghost eyes also fell into Su Yi's eyes. At this moment it seemed that he was not dead, and looked to be in his 50s. His body was thin to the point that there was no flesh on his cheeks, and a face that was like a bag of bones. His cheekbones were high, and the whole person seemed to be revealing a ruthless look. Go! The corner of his mouth spilled some blood again. Su Yi did not dare to stay, nor did he dare to approach the mysterious person. He immediately ordered the wolf-headed demonic bat to quickly leave. The pitiful blood hand ghost eyes was half dead, and the claw marks on his palm were dripping with blood. Cough! After a while, the blood hand ghost eyes seemed to wake up, and coughed, and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Boy, looking at the back of the young man on the beast that had disappeared into the depths of the void, the blood-hand ghost eyes wanted to get up, but he could not get up no matter how many times he struggled, and was severely injured. Perhaps the blood-hand ghost eyes did not expect that he, who had been careful for most of his life and had never failed, would fall into the hands of a young man today. Now that he thought about it, the blood-hand ghost eyes realized that the young man had been putting on an act from the beginning to the end to lure him step by step. As a result, the blood-hand ghost eyes completely let down his guard, and in the end, he was hit by the young man in one move. If not, the blood-hand ghost eyes would not have fallen so miserably if he had been more careful. It had always been the blood-hand ghost eyes who plundered others, and he had never failed. Seeing that the young man's interspatial bags were taken away, it proved that the young man was not a kind person. The young man was familiar with the process, and it was clean and neat. It was definitely not the first time that he had done this. Puff! Thinking about this, the blood-hand ghost eyes, who had been hunting eagles all year round, was pecked in the eye by a little chick this time. This caused the blood-hand ghost eyes' chi and blood to surge, and he could not help but spit out another mouthful of blood. Young fella, even if you chase me to the ends of the earth, I won't let you go, the blood-hand ghost eyes said coldly. It was probably half an hour later that he recovered some strength and struggled to get up, then he dragged his miserable body and staggered away. It was a terrible sight and was in a sorry state. On the back of the wolf-headed demonic bat, Sui sat with his legs crossed. He stuffed a healing pill into his mouth, and his face was as pale as ash. Chapter 604. If not for that, Sui knew that he would be doomed today. In such a desolate place, killing others to snatch their treasures was just too common. Borrowing that massive power, Sui did not have it easy either. Although Ling Qianxue had yet to recover to her peak, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. As the power gushed out and circulated within his meridians and acupoints, Su Yi's body was nearly torn apart. Fortunately, Su Yi's physical body was extremely perverse. Although he endured quite a bit of pain and was injured by the backlash, he at least managed to endure it and did not suffer any serious injuries. Although the effects were not light, at least he had dealt with that mysterious intruder. You've got guts. Humans are indeed cunning. Ling Qianxue's voice rang out in Su Yi's ears. At this moment she was also very shocked. This youth was truly gutsy to borrow such a massive external power. If he was not careful, he might die before dealing with his opponent. In the depths of Ling Qianxue's heart, the thing that was most shocked was Su Yi's physical body. She was the clearest about how much power she had borrowed earlier. This kid was only at the 8th level of the origin spirit stage, yet his physical body was already so strong. Compared to the physical bodies of those elite demon race youths, his physical body was probably not inferior at all. Borrowing a body to be reborn. After waking up recently, Ling Qianxue could feel that there was something extraordinary about Su Yi's body. This youth was too mysterious. Even when she merged with him, she was unable to see through everything. Especially after Su Yi was severely injured. She felt that the mysterious scarlet light came from Su Yi's mind. When she wanted to see what was going on, she discovered that there was a vast and boundless power within Su Yi's mind that blocked her. The pressure was so great that she felt an unprecedented terror, preventing her from prying. That's right. That old fellow is too cunning. To think that he would want to kill me and snatch my treasures. Sui muttered in a soft voice. He had just survived a calamity. He did not know who that old fellow was, but he was incomparably cunning. After tailing him for so long, he had been so careful. If not for Ling Qianxue waking up, he would have been doomed this time. Aren't you even more cunning than that person? There's not a single good human being. Ling Qianxue was speechless. She had clearly said that this brat was cunning. He had actually baited the Yuan Void stage cultivator step by step. Yet, he still had the face to say that others were cunning. It was clear that the degree of cunning and treachery of this brat was not inferior to the former. I was just protecting myself. Sui raised his eyebrows. How was he cunning? He was clearly just trying to protect himself. He didn't know if the old man was dead or alive. Sui didn't dare to stay any longer. He healed himself on the back of the wolf-headed bat demon and wanted to return to the barbarian city as soon as possible. At night at Xinjian Gate. You're saying that a young man around the same age as you severely injured you to this extent? In a side hall, many people were looking at the four youths who were being carried back. Their expressions were extremely ugly. The four youths all looked to be around 17 or 18 years old, but at this moment, they were all covered in blood and looked extremely miserable. The four youths were all heavily injured. Even after their injuries were healed, their future cultivation achievements would be greatly affected. A young man is too terrifying. We are no match for him at all. The one with the lightest injury among the four youths said with lingering fear in his heart. His eyes were filled with horror. That young man was too terrifying. In the end, the three of them couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. Hearing this, the leading old man from Sacred Mountain looked pensive. He knew the cultivation of these four youths clearly. Among their peers in the entire central state, they were definitely among the top. Their talents were outstanding. If what the four youths said was true, that young man of the same age was able to injure the four of them to this extent. How powerful was his strength? He was definitely not an ordinary person. Elder, could it be the people from Xinjian Gate who did this? In the crowd, Wang Chuanda's expression changed slightly. He glanced at the four youths lying on the ground with some pity in his heart. These four guys originally had a bright future, but after this serious injury, their future would be limited. Xinjian Gate wouldn't go so far. Although Xinjian Gate deliberately hid the strength of the disciples ranked at the top of the sword pagodas to not expose too much before the Sacred Martial Arts Conference, they still wouldn't dare to lay their hands on the disciples of Sacred Mountain. Hearing this, the old man's eyes flickered. He said, "Inform Xinjian Gate that they must give us an explanation." "Elder, didn't you say that it wasn't Xinjian Gate's doing? Why are you still doing this?" A middle-aged man was puzzled and asked in a low voice. Although Sidu Luyun is young, he is not an ordinary person. This time, they didn't leak anything when we came here. However, Sword Crafting City can be considered as the territory of Xinjian Gate. Our disciples from Sacred Mountain have been seriously injured. This is an opportunity, the old man said. There seemed to be a deeper meaning in his words. His eyes flickered meaningfully. The moon was bright and the stars were dim. On the sky Sword Peak. In the study, Situ Luyun stood with his hands behind his back and paced back and forth. From the information we received, that youth is 16 or 17 years old. He has a broken sword on his back and his strength is extraordinary. The right protector opened his mouth. His eyes flickered as if he was thinking about something. He looked at Sidu Luyun and hesitated for a moment before saying, "I have asked carefully." That youth is indeed very similar to the right protector wanted to say something but hesitated. From the information he received, that youth was too similar to a fellow. Those youths are all quite strong. To be able to heavily injure them, not many people can do it. If the information we received is correct, then it might really be Sui. Sidu Luyun stopped and raised his eyes slightly. His eyes flickered with light, and after a long time, he said these words. "Sect leader, isn't Sui dead? The Divine Sword Valley has already collapsed, and the experts in the sect have already checked and are unable to open it again. Even if Sui is still alive, how could he possibly come out? However, from the information we received, that young man is too similar to Sui, and only that brat has that kind of strength." The right protector's face changed greatly. He was very clear about the situation in the Divine Sword Valley, but from the information he received, that young man was too similar to Su-yi. Situ Luyun did not say anything. His gaze was slightly focused and his expression was silent. Sect leader, if it really is that brat Su-yi, why didn't he return to Xinjiang Gate and appear in Sword Crafting City instead of dying? The Right Protector asked. Situ Luyun sighed, the corner of his mouth raised into a bitter smile, and said to the Right Protector, 90% of the time, it's that brat. How can the sect leader be so sure? The Right Protector was a little surprised. Even though he somewhat believed that it was Su-yi, Situ Luyun's 90% certainty still made him a little surprised. He appeared in Sword Crafting City because he wants to leave. Perhaps he doesn't want to return to Xinjiang Gate anymore. Situ Luyun said, a bitter smile on her face. Why? The Right Protector asked. Elmore XW new most asterisk you fast Q on you cool. Craftsman Net New York. Chapter 605. The corner of the Right Protector's eyes twitched. Everyone knew that Yun Lingfeng's punishment was unfair. If Su-yi was still alive and returned to Xinjiang Gate, he would naturally be unhappy when he learned of such a result. If it was anyone else, they would also be unhappy. Immediately pass down the order to seal off the news. No one is allowed to leak it out. Those who saw it with their own eyes in Sword Crafting City are to be isolated. No news of this matter can be leaked out. Situ Luyun opened her mouth. Her gaze was solemn as if she was deep in thought. After a moment, she muttered softly, I hope that Xinjiang Gate won't regret it too much in the future. The Right Protector nodded and immediately went to arrange everything. Barbarian City, Su family. Huff on the stone platform, at a certain moment, old man Su Yuntian opened his eyes. His face was flushed red, and his aura was vigorous and long. He exhaled a long breath of turbid air from his stomach. In the secret chamber, the mysterious short figure had already disappeared without a trace. Feeling everything in his body, old man Su Yuntian was stunned. The injuries that had been worsening for the past few months were almost healed. There was a surge of energy surging in his body. It was the medicinal power of a high-grade pill, and there was also the pure energy left in his body by the mysterious short figure. Su Yuntian didn't know what level of pill it was, but it wasn't difficult to know that the pill that the short figure gave him when he was healing was definitely a priceless treasure. Otherwise, his injuries wouldn't have changed so much. After recovering from his injuries this time, old man Su Yuntian felt that he could take another step forward. On the stone platform there was a space bag. It was obvious that it was left behind by the mysterious expert. Su Yuntian picked up the space bag and searched it with his mind. His expression changed drastically. Inside the space bag there were many pills, martial skills, and cultivation resources. Added together, it was worth more than 10 Su families. Such a sum of resources caused old man Su Yuntian to be so stunned that he couldn't recover for a long time. He had lived for so many years, but he had never seen such great wealth. The entire Su family was one of the 5 great families in Barbarian City, but the items in the space bag were worth dozens of Su families. How huge was this? Who the hell is this? Old Master Su Yuntian was shocked and puzzled, unable to regain his senses for a long time. Who was that mysterious powerhouse? Why did he heal him and even give him a priceless healing pill? The huge amount of cultivation resources in the interspatial bag was definitely not something an ordinary powerhouse could take out. The Su family seemed to have never befriended a powerhouse of that level. With such cultivation resources, Su Yuntian reckoned that the Su family would be able to surpass the other families within a few years. Could it be, suddenly, old Master Su Yuntian's heart quivered. That expert had mentioned Su-yi. Could it be that my grandson Su-yi is still alive? Su Yuntian's body could not help but tremble. He was so excited that his heart could not help but tremble. Father. A deep and hurried voice came from outside the door. Jingting, what's wrong? Su Yuntian's expression changed slightly. Before he went into seclusion, he had instructed that unless something big happened to the Su family, no one was to disturb him. Furthermore, it was his adopted son, Su Jingting. There are powerhouses from Xinjian Gate here. They say they are looking for father. Su Jingting's voice came from outside the door. Xinjian Gate. Su Yuntian's expression suddenly changed a lot. He naturally knew about Xinjian Gate. Although it was not as powerful as Sacred Mountain in Central State, Xinjian Gate was definitely a huge monster. A moment later, in the Su family's side hall, Su Yuntian sat upright in the side hall. A figure also sat upright. There were two other figures, one fat and one tall, extremely eye-catching. The Su family only had Su Yuntian and Su Jingting. At this moment, if Su Yi was here, he would definitely be able to recognize that these people were none other than Ho Changming, Wang Tianbao, and Zhu Changgao. Old Master Su Yuntian sized up the three people in front of him. He seemed to be a little nervous. The arrival of these three powerhouses from Xinjian Gate seemed to be very secretive. They even specified that they should not make a big deal out of it. This caused Su Yuntian and Su Jingting to feel astonished in their hearts. You are Su Yi's grandfather? Ho Changming sized up Su Yi, his eyes secretly moving. He received news that Su Yi's grandfather seemed to have suffered a serious injury. However, at the moment, at least it did not seem to be a big deal. Yes, this old man is Su Yi's grandfather, Su Yuntian. I don't know if the three Xinjian Gate's protectors came to the Su family because of Su Yi. Could it be that my grandson Su Yi, Old Master Su Yuntian probed? At this moment, his heart was very nervous, full of expectations and hope. He really hoped that his grandson Su Yi was still alive. This, Ho Changming nodded. For Su Yi's sake, he did not put on airs in front of Old Master Su Yuntian. His expression was a little awkward. At this moment, Ho Changming thought that Old Master Su Yuntian was asking about Su Yi's situation at Xinjian Gate. He did not know that Su Yi was already a lost person to the Su family. Old Master, you don't need to ask anymore. This time, we came because Su Yi asked us to bring you a profound soaring dragon pill to treat your injuries. We hope that Old Master's injuries will be healed. Ho Changming took out a jade medicine box, a spatial bag, and a special badge with the symbol of Xinjian Gate on it. He said to Old Master Su Yuntian, "This is my Xinjian Gate's token. If there is a day when the Su family is in a difficult situation, take this token and go to Xinjian Gate. If it is possible, Xinjian Gate will definitely do it. We came here in secret. I hope that the Su family will keep it a secret. If this news spreads, it may not be a good thing for the Su family." As his voice fell, Ho Changming, Wang Tianbao, and Zhu Zhanggao left. Three esteemed protectors, please tell me about my grandson Su Yi's situation. Most fast #Shangku Craftsman Network. Old Master Su Yuntian's weathered face was filled with pleading. He wanted to know the situation. Everything was too unusual. Old Master, don't ask any more. I hope that your injuries will be healed soon. Ho Changming and the other two's expressions were also not good. They sighed and quietly flew into the night sky. Outside the courtyard, Old Master Su Yuntian and Su Jingting looked at the three disappearing figures in the sky. They were unable to recover for a long time. Chapter 606. A huge pile of cultivation resources, priceless. Just one mysterious soaring dragon elixir was already a treasure. It would be difficult to exchange for it even with the Su family. Father, what the hell is going on? After a long time, Su Jingting took a deep breath and came back to his senses. Might still be alive. Su Yuntian took a deep breath. Judging from the short figure and the three protectors of Xinjian Gate, it proved that Su Yi was still alive. Most likely, he had something to do with Xinjian Gate. Su-yi, is he really still alive? Su Jingting's eyes trembled. His face was filled with excitement. He paced back and forth with joy. It's good that he's alive, it's good that he's alive. That kid was fine when he was in the barbarian demon forest for 3 years. Maybe he escaped a calamity. But if he's still alive, why didn't he come back, even if it was just to send a letter? Didn't send a letter back. I guess he had some scruples. If he went to Xinjian Gate instead of Saint Mountain, maybe something else happened. Su Yuntian frowned. He had always suspected that Su Yi's death was related to some inside story. Father, you're suspecting that Su Yi was in danger in the barbarian demon forest, and that king of Saint Mountain. Su Jingting opened his mouth, but stopped. His eyes flashed. If the people of Saint Mountain really wanted to protect how could there be an accident? I guess even if it wasn't Wang Chuanda's doing, he must have something to do with it. Su Yuntian's eyes were gloomy. Based on Saint Mountain's attitude towards Su Yi, it was not difficult to know that even if Su Yi went to Saint Mountain, he would not have a good time. If Su Yi is still alive and at Xinjian Gate, then it could be another option. Judging from Xinjian Gate's attitude towards our Su family, maybe Su Yi is doing well in Xinjian Gate. Su Jingting pondered. If Su Yi was really at Xinjian Gate, then it was enough to prove that Xinjian Gate valued Su Yi very much. That's why I'm worried. Maybe something really happened to Yi this time. Su Yuntian's expression was solemn as he frowned and sighed. Whether it is Wang Chuanda of the Sacred Mountain or what has happened to the Divine Sword sect recently, I'm afraid only Ear knows the best. It's a pity that I've spent my entire life trying to reach a higher level in martial arts. Otherwise, how could I not investigate the truth? Father, you don't have to worry too much. That brat Su Yi is blessed by the heavens. Every time, he would be able to turn misfortune into blessings. Furthermore, that brat has been growing up. Even if we don't talk about his other abilities, he still has the ability to protect himself. He is the only one who is able to take advantage of others. I'm afraid it will be hard to find someone who can take advantage of him. In this aspect, is a little similar to his father. Hearing this, Su Yuntian's frown eased a little. At night, the ancient pine trees were solemn, the mountain rocks were dim, and the shadows of the trees were swaying. It had been raining recently, and at the open top of the mountain, there was no starlight. Everywhere was misty and rainy. In the distant mountains, the wind gently blew through the ancient forest, and the faint sound of waves could be heard. Awoo! In the distance, the damp night was as thick as ink, and the roar of beasts could be heard from time to time. It was a secluded valley. Although the surrounding mountains weren't very tall, there were steep cliffs and precipitous rock bones everywhere. This valley was hidden within the lush greenery of the surrounding mountains. It was very secretive. A figure was sitting cross-legged, emitting a faint red light, and emitting an ancient pressure. Not far away, there was a wolf-headed demonic bat sitting on the cliff. Its sharp eyes scanned the surroundings from time to time. The person sitting cross-legged was Su Yi. Along the way, Su Yi carefully returned to Barbarian City. With the wolf-headed demonic bat, he didn't dare to be conspicuous. Su Yi was clear that although Barbarian City was only a corner of the barbarian demon forest, this forest was after all the territory of the Black Fiend sect and the Blazing Dragon Emperor. If he was recognized, the consequences would be worrying. It was better to be careful. Fortunately, Su Yi had a good understanding of the barbarian demon forest, and he had plenty of survival skills. Furthermore, his cultivation wasn't the same as before. This made Su Yi cautious, and he didn't encounter too many dangers along the way. There were several encounters with extraordinary beasts, and Su Yi used the Origin Supreme technique to scare them away. He didn't dare to be conspicuous on the wolf-headed demonic bat, which made Su Yi's speed much slower. Occasionally, he would ride the wolf-headed demonic bat instead of walking, so his speed wouldn't be too slow. However, Su Yi's clothes were ragged, and he looked like a savage. Su Yi didn't mind, as this wouldn't attract the attention of others. Phew! After exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Su Yi opened his eyes. The aura on his body shook his ragged clothes, and his eyes flickered with a red light before returning to a deep and tenacious state. Feeling everything in his body, Su Yi was quite satisfied. Apart from traveling, he cultivated every day. His aura had already stabilized at the 8th level of the essence spirit realm, and it had even improved. Su Yi wasn't too complacent with his cultivation at the 8th level of the essence spirit realm. Compared to those experts, Su Yi was very clear that he was still a rookie. In front of those true experts, he still couldn't withstand a single blow. If he wanted to become an expert, he could only rely on himself to continuously cultivate. This was something that Su Yi didn't dare to slack off. I seem to have forgotten something. Su Yi's eyes moved, and his eyes emitted a red light in the night. Then, he took out an item from his space bag. It was an oval-shaped egg the size of a goose's egg. This egg was very strange, and its shell was light gold. It was the egg that Su Yi obtained after the divine bird's skeleton disappeared from the myriad sword battlefield. What exactly is this? Su Yi's eyes moved, and he was very surprised. This egg was able to survive the raging flames that could burn everything. It definitely wasn't simple. Could it be the descendant of that divine bird? Su Yi carefully inspected the egg in his hand. It was neither light nor heavy. Apart from its light gold color, it wasn't much different from an ordinary bird's egg. Dang dang! Su Yi used his strength to knock on the rock in front of him. He discovered that this egg was really incomparably sturdy, and he couldn't break it at all. Then, Su Yi used a rock to smash it, but it was also to no avail. This light gold egg was like a boulder, and he couldn't open it at all. Injecting Yuan Qi, communicating with his soul, Su Yi tried everything he could, but there was no response. Should I use fire to burn it? Su Yi thought of the blazing dragon emperor's egg, which had hatched in the volcano. Immediately, he formed a hand seal, and circulated his fire attribute Yuan Qi to condense flames to burn the egg in his hand. An hour later, Su Yi was drenched in sweat, and the Yuan Qi in his body had been greatly depleted. However, the light gold egg in his hand was still as cold as jade, and there wasn't even a change in temperature. Could this egg be spoiled? Chapter 607. I wonder if it will work if I put it in the mysterious space. Su Yi pondered. Back then, Dabao and Shaoling were only able to hatch in the mysterious space. Su Yi felt that there was no other way. With regards to this strange golden egg, Su Yi reckoned that it was most likely left behind by the divine bird. Even if it was not, at the very least, it had a great origin and came from the ancient times. If it could hatch, it was likely that a divine bird or divine beast would be born. With anticipation and curiosity, Su Yi summoned the mysterious space and brought the pale golden egg into it. However, to Su Yi's surprise, the pale golden egg did not do anything in the mysterious space. Is it really broken? Su Yi pondered. Unfortunately, the pale golden egg really did seem to be broken. After another round of pondering, Su Yi could only give up helplessly. The egg was indestructible, and he felt that it was unlikely to be thrown away due to its great origin. Su Yi could only place it in the mysterious space. A Yuan Void Realm expert should have quite a collection. Following that, a few interspatial bags appeared in Su Yi's hand. They were obtained from the old man who had ambushed Su Yi not long ago in an attempt to kill him and steal his treasures. With great familiarity, Su Yi used the mysterious space to open the interspatial bags. Following that, a large pile of items appeared in front of Su Yi. There was a large pile of cultivation resources, martial skills, pills, herbs, refining materials. Su Yi roughly sorted them out. The cultivation resources added up to quite a lot, and it was extremely shocking. However, Su-yi was no longer the same as before. He had seen many great things in the Shenzhen Gate. His vision and state of mind were much higher than before. Although the cultivation resources were priceless, they did not shock Su-yi to the point where he was truly shocked. There were quite a number of good martial skills, but they were not at the royal grade. Su-yi did not think too much of them. Cultivation techniques like the Primordial Chaos Supreme Technique and the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra contained quite a number of impressive martial techniques. 8 Desolation Fury, Overlord Fist, Ice Shadow Sword Art, and so on. They were all not ordinary martial skills that could be compared to them. It's here. So it came from this place. Su-yi was just about to pack up and leave when Ling Qianxue's shocked voice resounded in his ears, as if she had felt something inconceivable and shocking. Su-yi frowned slightly. He had forgotten that Ling Qianxue and himself were now one. This is a treasure land. You sure have a lot of secrets, Ling Qianxue exclaimed. Her voice was filled with astonishment. Not long ago, she had sensed a vast oppressive aura coming from this place. It was related to this space. She finally understood why this young man was so monstrous and abnormal. She was afraid that he had an inseparable relationship with this space. Ling Qianxue could sense everything within this space. She understood that if she were to cultivate within this space, she would receive immeasurable benefit. This place is very important to me. Su-yi opened his mouth and frowned slightly. There was a hint of sharpness in his tone. This place was his foundation and everything he relied on. It could not be leaked out. It seems that everything about you is indeed related to this place. Ling Qianxue said faintly. Ling Qianxue said faintly. She seemed to have sensed Su-yi's nervousness and said, "Don't worry, I'm now one with you. If I want to harm you, it won't do me any good. At least before I'm reborn, your death won't do me any good. I'll also be unlucky. So you can rest assured that I won't do anything to you, and I won't reveal this place." Hearing Ling Qianxue's words, Su-yi was slightly relieved. However, he could not completely relax when it came to this cat demon. When can you be reborn and recover? Su-yi probed Ling Qianxue. He also wanted to be prepared. After all, this cat demon had fused with him. Ling Qianxue would know all of his secrets. In front of her, he had no secrets to hide. You want to be prepared in case I kill you and steal your treasures? Ling Qianxue seemed to have seen through Su-yi. She said unhappily, "Don't worry. It's still early for me to recover after my rebirth. However, if I can stay here often, I feel that it will be much faster. So, I have something to discuss with you." "What's the matter?" Su-yi asked in surprise. He did not know what this cat demon was planning. "You can come here often to cultivate in the future," Ling Qianxue said. "Why should I listen to you?" Su-yi raised his eyebrows. If he could cultivate in the mysterious space often, it would be extremely beneficial to him. Just the cultivation speed alone would be much faster than outside. If you cultivate in this place, there will be many benefits. Don't play dumb. It was as if Ling Qianxue had completely seen through Su-yi. She said, "After helping you deal with that Yuan Void Stage cultivator, it also affected me quite a bit. Do you think that with my current state, I can help you at any time? If you encounter any danger in the future, I'm afraid that I won't be able to help you." Su-yi curled his lips. This cat demon was obviously threatening him. If he did not cultivate in this place often, it would be threatening him that she might not help him the next time. If you cultivate in this place, you will be able to obtain more benefit. So will I. When I recover faster, I will be able to leave you earlier. We don't need to continue entangling with each other. Ling Qianxue said indifferently. All right, I can agree. Su-yi nodded. Originally, as long as he had the time, he would also enter the mysterious space to cultivate. His gaze shifted as he said to Ling Qianxue, "Then, if I encounter any trouble in the future, you have to lend me a hand. Before I completely recover, your death will not benefit me. Ling Qianxue said, which was equivalent to admitting it. Most importantly, you have to swear that when you completely recover in the future, you will not do anything that is disadvantageous to me. Otherwise, at most, I will get less benefits and you won't recover so quickly. Sui said seriously. He had to be wary of this cat demon. Swearing? Are all humans as childish as you? Ling Qianxue said faintly. If you don't swear, then I can only do as you wish. Sui raised his eyebrows. This cat demon was not easy to deal with. Could it be that you want to commit suicide? I'll wait and see if you have the guts. Ling Qianxue laughed. She knew clearly that this human was not someone who wanted to commit suicide. This, Sui frowned. This cat demon was harder to deal with than he had imagined. Chapter 608. Brat, you. Ling Qianxue's voice changed. That's just how I am. Sui smiled to himself. It seemed like his threat was effective against the cat demon. All right, you treacherous human. I swear that even if I recover at that time, I will not harm you. Ling Qianxue said fiercely. How am I treacherous? Sui pouted and muttered to himself. He only wanted to protect himself. How was that treacherous? You've been talking to yourself, what's wrong? The blood jade spirit ginseng came out of the herb field and heard Su Yi's muttering. It looked at Su Yi curiously. Cool Sea Craftsman Network, Si Yong Ha Jio 1, Free Xn Fi O Look D1 Little X said. Grandpa Ginseng. Su Yi sized up the blood jade spirit ginseng. The difference between the current blood jade spirit ginseng and the original one was like the difference between heaven and earth. The blood jade spirit ginseng emitted a dense aura, and its body was overflowing with light, giving people a feeling that it was full of vitality. Blood jade spirit ginseng, the blood jade spirit ginseng is indeed on you. Treacherous human. Ling Qianxue's voice rang in Su Yi's ears once again. Blood jade spirit ginseng. She had suspected that this blood jade spirit ginseng came from this human. He, of course it's on me, Sui said. Humans are the most treacherous, too treacherous. Ling Qianxue said hatefully. Who are you talking to? The blood jade spirit ginseng looked at Su Yi in astonishment. Then it looked around. At this moment, there were no other living creatures in this space apart from the profound sun golden demon falcon. We'll talk to Grandpa Ginseng in the future. Su Yi looked at the blood jasper spirit ginseng, and his expression immediately became serious. He said to the blood jasper spirit ginseng, I'm afraid I'll have to trouble Grandpa Ginseng with the matter I told you about last time. Well, I've been here for so long. It's time to go out and get some fresh air. Let me know when the time comes. The blood jade spirit ginseng nodded. Thank you, Grandpa Ginseng, Sui said. He had a Xian Yuan soaring dragon Dan with him. At that time, he estimated that he would not need to pay too much price for the blood jade spirit ginseng to heal his grandfather. He estimated that this place was not too far away from Barbarian City. He should be able to return to Barbarian City in a few days. Su Yi's heart was also very excited. His grandfather and Wan should have received the news that he had died in the barbarian demon forest. He was afraid that they had been grieving. If they saw that he had suddenly returned, they would be shocked. As for his grandfather's injury, Su Yi hoped that it wouldn't be a big problem. After all, his uncle had said that his grandfather's injury could last for a few more years. It wasn't that long, so he hoped that it wouldn't be a big problem. There was also Fatty Wang Shangwu. Su Yi thought in his heart. He did not know if Fatty Wang was still being locked up by his father at home for closed-door training. When he met Fatty Wang, he would be able to give him a helping hand and help him transform from inside out. He would not let Fatty Wang down for being his scapegoat since he was young. Thinking about the people that Barbarian City missed, Su Yi's mouth unconsciously curved into a smile. After a while, after checking everything in the mysterious space, Sui packed up and left the mysterious space. The sky was slightly bright and the drizzle was hazy. Sui rode on the wolf bat and left. The sky was dark, and riding on the wolf bat could save him a lot of trouble. For the next few days, Sui did the same. When he wasn't on the road, he would enter the mysterious space to cultivate. This is a treasure land in Suyi's ears, Ling Qinshue's voice sounded. She seemed to be very excited. Sui cultivated the primeval origin supreme technique and cultivated his soul force. He did not give up on martial skills. He took the time to cultivate the foundation of the sword and the foundation of the saber. In this way, Suyi's speed was not very fast. It could be considered as a kind of training. Sometimes, Sui would deliberately restrain his aura and find a few extraordinary barbarian demon beasts to practice. It could also be considered as a kind of tempering for himself. 5 days later, in the morning, the air was moist and the surroundings were shrouded in mist. Boom! A surge of aura swept out, shaking the surroundings. Under a huge boulder on a cliff, under a strong ancient tree, there was a dazzling red light fluctuation. It was like a gale was howling, and a figure was sitting cross-legged in it. His aura rose, causing the energy of heaven and earth to fluctuate. In a spurt of energy, he finally stepped into the 9th level of Origin's spirit realm. After a while, everything disappeared. Sui opened his eyes. His aura shook and his ragged robes fluttered. At the same time, a red light flickered in his eyes. 9th level of Origin's spirit realm. Suyi's face was filled with joy. This was the benefit of cultivating in the mysterious space. In addition to the previous breakthrough, his aura had reached the late stage of the 8th level of Origin's spirit realm. Therefore, in these few days, he had broken through again. Aolo, not far away, the wolf bat let out a low growl. It was happy for Sui when it felt the rising aura on Suyi's body. I should be able to reach Barbarian City today. Sui smiled slightly, his heart filled with anticipation. He was already not far from Barbarian City. He should be able to reach today, and finally see his grandfather and Wan. At night, the bright moon hung in the sky. The night sky was filled with stars, sparkling with starlight. Barbarian City, a small area at the edge of the night shrouded in a unique tranquility. However, Barbarian City was not a paradise. There were many dangers and enemies. In the vast barbarian demon forest, there were many factions. The Wild Dragon Mercenary Alliance and the Black Fiend sect were the strongest. There were also many smaller factions, many of whom wanted to encroach on Barbarian City. When Barbarian City encountered a strong enemy, it was Old Master Su Yuntian who stepped in and protected Barbarian City after a bloody battle. Therefore, Barbarian City had always been on high alert. At night, the city gates were tightly shut, with members of the 5 great families taking turns to guard the city. Ever since Old Master Su Yuntian retreated from the enemy, Barbarian City had been peaceful for 20 years. It did not encounter many invasions. Occasionally, they would encounter some scattered barbarian demon beasts, but they would be chased away by the 5 great families. Aolo, outside Barbarian City, on top of the thick city walls, there were many figures standing there. Their eyes glowed in the dark night, and the roars of barbarian demon beasts could be heard from afar. It seems that there are many barbarian demon beasts gathering here recently. On top of the city walls, someone spoke, his eyes filled with astonishment. Recently, many barbarian demon beasts would appear outside Barbarian City at night. In just a few days, the number of barbarian demon beasts seemed to be increasing. They are all ordinary barbarian demon beasts. I haven't hunted for a long time, so I can go and clean them up. Someone spoke, not paying too much attention to it. It was common to encounter barbarian demon beasts outside Barbarian City. But this time, there seems to be something wrong. The number of barbarian demon beasts seems to be increasing. They are not in a hurry to attack, as if they are waiting for something. someone said, feeling surprised. Chapter 609. The man looked like he was in his 40s. His body was well built and had a fierce aura around him. One look and one could tell that he lived a life of danger. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such an aura. This man was indeed not a simple person. He was the captain of the Sioux family's guards, Sioux Bion. Although he wasn't a descendant of the Sioux family, his status in the Sioux family wasn't low. In the entire barbarian city, he was a well-known figure. He used to follow Old Master Su Yuntian. Awoo, the barbarian beasts in the distance kept roaring. Their terrifying eyes emitted a terrifying light in the dark night. Awoo, at a certain moment, the howl of a wolf could be heard from afar. The eyes of the surrounding wild beasts trembled as they heard the howl. Their ferocious eyes trembled as they calmed down. It should be a beast king. Su Baihan stood on top of the city wall. The roar just now definitely didn't come from an ordinary barbarian beast. Captain, look. What is that? Suddenly, someone looked up. From the depths of the night sky, there was a bloody light. A huge beast figure flew past and disappeared in a flash. Is that a barbarian beast? I didn't see it. Su Baihan raised his eyes. That speed was too fast. He seemed to have faintly caught sight of something, but it had already disappeared in an instant. Cool/craftsman net T first GN send in Barbarian City, it was already late at night. Occasionally, a few beast roars could be heard from outside the city. In front of the Sioux family's gate, the lights were waning. There were guards standing guard. Recently, many barbarian beasts had appeared outside the city, so the Sioux family was on high alert. In the distance, a ragged figure appeared. His body was thin but tall. In the dark night, his eyes emitted a tenacious and deep light. A faint red light flashed. On his back, there was an item that looked like a sword and a blade. This item was wrapped in rags and wrapped around his back. This figure was naturally Su-Yi. In order not to attract attention, Su-Yi wrapped the broken sword on his back with rags. This way, it wouldn't attract too much attention. Phew, looking at Su-Yi's gait, Su-Yi let out a long breath. He was back in the Sioux family again. He could finally see his grandfather and one heir. When Su-Yi's figure disappeared, he was already at the back door of the Sioux family. When he was in the Sioux family, he always climbed over the wall to enter. With Su-Yi's cultivation, it wasn't difficult for him to enter the Sioux family without anyone noticing. In the quiet courtyard, nothing seemed to have changed. A figure quietly appeared. Looking at the quiet courtyard, he felt a little excited for no reason. Su-Yi knocked on the door softly, suppressing the excitement in his heart. Grandpa would be very happy to see that he was still alive. He hoped that Grandpa's injuries were not too serious. Creak, the gate opened and an old servant appeared. His face was full of wrinkles, but the light in his eyes was unusually clear in the dark night. He sized up the ragged figure in front of him in astonishment. Immediately, the light in his eyes fluctuated. His face changed and his voice trembled with excitement. Young Master Su-Yi, you're young Master Su-Yi. You're not dead, you're still alive. Shoo! Su-Yi made a shushing gesture and quietly returned to the Sioux family. He didn't want to alarm anyone. He nodded at the old servant and asked softly, "Where's grandfather?" Back then, Su-Yi felt that this old servant wasn't a simple person. At this moment, Su-Yi could clearly see that this old servant was indeed not ordinary. He was actually an Yuan Profound Realm cultivator. In the entire barbarian city, Yuan Profound Realm cultivators were definitely not ordinary. The old master is recuperating inside. I'll go inform him now. If the old master knows that young Master Su-Yi is still alive, he will definitely be very happy. The old servant suppressed his excitement and said to Su-Yi, "I'll go find grandfather myself. Also, don't tell anyone about my return." Su-yi instructed the old servant and stepped into the courtyard. Looking at Su-yi's back, the old servant's eyes were filled with astonishment. His heart trembled for no reason. He didn't know why, but he felt that Su-yi was different from before. For no reason, he felt an unquestionable aura. He didn't know why, but when he faced Su-yi just now, he inexplicably felt his heart tremble. This kind of feeling was even worse than when he faced the old master. In a quiet room, old master Su Yuntian sat cross-legged with his eyes slightly closed. His body was enveloped in a faint light. His aura was long and continuous, and his face was rosy. Chi-chi, suddenly, old master Su Yuntian opened his eyes. He withdrew his hand seals and a light flashed in his eyes. He opened his mouth and said, "Who is it?" "Grandfather, it's me." A voice came from outside the quiet room. On the bed, old master Su Yuntian's expression changed and he quickly jumped up. You're back?" The door of the quiet room opened and an old figure rushed out. His long white hair fluttered in the wind, and on his wrinkled face, the clear outline of his youth could be seen clearly. He looked at the ragged figure in front of him, and at that familiar face. Although it was less fair, it was more resolute. Both of them were taller, and their figures were straighter. Su-yi looked at the old man in front of him. His complexion was rosy and his breathing was long. However, that old face was even older than before. His hair was also whiter. It must be because he was worried about him during this period of time. "Grandfather, I'm back." Looking at the old face in front of him, Su-yi couldn't hold it in anymore. The corners of his eyes were wet as he knelt down to pay his respects. Is it really you?" Old Master Su Yuntian was trembling. He reached out his hand and touched the familiar face in front of him. His breath was warm and he was still alive. "Ha ha ha ha," the old man smiled, tears of joy rolling down his cheeks. On his aged face, there was a glimmer of light in his eyes. He could not help but feel emotional as he said, "It's good that you didn't die. I knew that my, Su Yuntian's, grandson would not die so early. Is unfilial. I've made grandfather worry." Su-yi's eyes were wet. His grandfather must have been worried about him during this period of time. "Child, get up quickly. It's good that you're fine." Old Master Su Yuntian was very emotional. He pulled Su-yi up and carefully looked him up and down. It was as if he was checking whether Su-yi was missing anything. "Grandfather, your injuries?" Su-yi was also sizing up his grandfather, Su Yuntian. Back then, Su-yi was unable to determine what level his grandfather's cultivation had reached. But now, Su-yi could roughly guess that his grandfather's aura had truly reached the origin void realm. Chapter 610. Mysterious Expert, Xinjian Gate? Su-yi was immediately stunned and surprised. You don't know?" Seeing Su-yi's reaction, old man Su Yuntian was also very surprised. He thought that Su-yi should know all of this. After that, old man Su Yuntian explained the general situation to Su-yi. It was precisely because of the mysterious expert's healing and medicinal pills that he was able to recover from his injuries and even advance a step further. This kind of good fortune was something that he could only wish for and was a great opportunity. Otherwise, he didn't know if he would be able to step into the true origin void stage in this lifetime. That mysterious expert and the expert from Xinjian Gate also sent a lot of treasures. It's a big deal. Old man Su Yuntian took out a lot of space bags, which contained the treasures left behind by the mysterious expert and the person from Xinjian Gate. Elder Su, Protector Ho Changming, Protector Zhu Changgao, Protector Wang Tianbao. Su-yi knew who those people were after hearing his grandfather's description. Checking everything in the space bag, Su-yi was also shocked. It was indeed a big deal, especially the profound soaring dragon pill, but his grandfather had not taken it and had already recovered. After pondering for a moment, Sui roughly understood the situation. That mysterious expert was naturally Elder Su. After all, Elder Su's appearance was very recognizable. Elder Su coming here to treat his grandfather's injuries was probably arranged by Xinjian Gate. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked Protector Ho Changming and the others to send the profound soaring dragon pill. Thinking about Elder Su, Sui felt a warm current in his heart. After knowing that he had died in the Divine Sword Valley, Elder Su had caused a ruckus in the 15th Sword Peak, and was suppressed by the experts from Xinjian Gate. He still remembered that he had once said that his grandfather was seriously injured in Barbarian City, so he specially came to Barbarian City to treat his grandfather's injuries. As for Protector Ho Changming and the others, it was not difficult for Sui to guess that it should have been arranged by sect leader Situ Luyun. To be able to send the profound soaring dragon pill and Xinjian Gate's token, it was equivalent to protecting the Su family. Forget it, Sui thought about it, and the grudge and estrangement in his heart towards Xinjian Gate immediately dissipated by quite a bit. At least sect leader Situ Luyun did not let him down. If he really died in the Divine Sword Valley, at least his grandfather and the Su family would be protected. What's going on? Looking at the change in expression on Sui's face, old man Su Yuntian knew that everything was as he had expected, and that it was indeed related to Sui. In front of his grandfather Sui naturally did not hide anything. Other than the mysterious rancor that he encountered at the bottom of the cliff, the Tian Yao School and the mysterious space, Sui told him about how he survived, how he was saved by Elder Su, and how he entered the Xinjian Gate by chance. In the end, he was in danger at the Xinjian Gate. It really is that Wang Chuanda. How hateful! Hearing that his grandson was indeed harmed by Wang Chuanda, old man Su Yuntian was furious. His face flushed red with hatred. That Elder Su saved you and protected you in every way possible. You all should respect him. Hearing that Elder Su saved Sui, protected Sui in every way possible, and came to Barbarian City to treat his injuries, old man Su Yuntian said to Sui with a solemn expression. As expected of my grandson, Su Yuntian. How can a golden carp be a fish in a pond? Once he meets the wind and clouds, he will become a dragon. What kind of servant is he? That Wang Chuanda is blind, ha 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 ha. Hearing that Sui had reached the heavens in a single step on the heavens platform, suppressed the geniuses in the Myriad Sword Conference, and became the champion, old man Su Yuntian laughed heartily. He was in a good mood and could not calm down for a long time. How could his grandson have the qualifications to be a servant? Seeing that his grandfather was in a good mood, as if he had suddenly become 10 years younger, Sui was also very happy. You shouldn't expose your return for the time being. Otherwise, if people from the Holy Mountain were to find out, I'm afraid it would bring some trouble. After all, our Su family is weak, and compared to Wang Chuanda, we are still far from enough. After a moment, old man Su Yuntian's expression suddenly became serious as he said to Sui. Sui nodded. He had secretly returned because he was worried that there would be some trouble. If Wang Chuanda from the Holy Mountain knew that he was still alive, it would definitely not be a good thing for him. Sui guessed that Wang Chuanda would also be worried that the matter of him killing people for treasures would be exposed. At that time, he would naturally think of a way to kill him. Even if other people from the Holy Mountain knew about this matter, for the sake of the Holy Mountain's reputation, they would probably not say anything. In comparison, for the sake of the Holy Mountain's reputation, what was a small Su family? This time, the Xinjian Gate's punishment of Yunling Feng was enough to show the thoughts of those large sections. I've received news that your brother Su Wei will return to Barbarian City in 2 days. Old man Su Yuntian said. Su Wei, Su Yi's eyes moved inwardly as he said, didn't they just enter the Holy Mountain not long ago? Old man Su Yuntian looked at Sui, hesitated for a moment, then smiled faintly and said, indeed, but this time, Su Wei's return seems to be related to your fiancé Lu Ruoxi. This time, the one who really returned is Lu Ruoxi. Lu Ruoxi, hearing this name, Su Yi's heart couldn't help but tremble. In my heart, my grandson is enough for that girl Lu Ruoxi. Old man Su Yuntian looked at Su Yi and smiled, saying, I reckon that the Holy Mountain will also send experts to accompany them this time. They will definitely come to the Su family to talk about your marriage with Lu Ruoxi. What do you think? We'll talk about it when the time comes. Su Yi's eyes flickered, and after a while, he said to old man Su Yuntian, All right, we'll talk about it when the time comes. Old man Su Yuntian still smiled, looked at Su Yi and said, What do you plan to do next? We'll talk about other plans when the time comes, but right now, there's something I want to talk to grandfather about. However, we need to find a quiet place first. Su Yi pondered for a moment, then said to old man Su Yuntian seriously. Looking at Su Yi's serious expression, old man Su Yuntian nodded his head. Soon after, old man Su Yuntian summoned the old servant and ordered that no one was allowed to enter the courtyard to disturb them, not even the city lord himself. Forming hand seals, old man Su Yuntian laid down a seal outside the quiet room, then said to Su Yi, Right now, in the entire barbarian city, no one should be able to enter this place. Su Yi nodded his head, smiled faintly, and formed a hand seal. Light fluctuated between his eyebrows and soon, it filled the quiet room. The light spread out and the pressure was impressive. Old man Su Yuntian's expression changed, and in the next instant, he appeared in another space. This was a mysterious space, and Su Yi brought his grandfather Su Yuntian into it. To Su Yi, there was no one more trustworthy than his grandfather. Hearing that the people from the Holy Mountain were coming to Barbarian City again, Su Yi's heart was moved. Last time, it was because of Wang Chuanda from the Holy Mountain that his grandfather suffered heavy injuries. This time, as a precaution, Su Yi wanted to let his grandfather Su Yuntian obtain some benefits in the shortest time possible to increase his strength. Chapter 611. Inside the mysterious space, old Master Su Yuntian's old face was flabbergasted, his mouth agape. The energy of heaven and earth was extremely dense, and there were elixirs everywhere. The moment he entered, he knew that this was a treasure ground. Ku Ao Chapter 2. Super I. The mystic sun golden demonic falcon and wolf head demonic bat flapped their wings and flew over. Golden light suffused the air, and blood light spread out as they saluted Su Yi. Brat, why are you here? Is this your grandfather? He doesn't seem to have any injuries. The blood jade spirit ginseng appeared, emitting a brilliant light. It carefully sized up old Master Su Yuntian. It couldn't sense any injuries on old Master Su Yuntian's body. Wolf-headed demon bat, Xianyang golden demon falcon, this is the blood jade spirit ginseng of the demon illusionary realm. Su Yuntian was dumbfounded. His eyes were about to pop out of their socket. He slapped his head heavily to see if he was dreaming. There's not much time left. I'll explain it to you later. For the next few days you can stay here and cultivate. Su Yi smiled and took out a bottle of medicine. He handed it to Su Yuntian and said, Take this and cultivate. You'll know what's going on when the time comes. Looking at Su Yi, old Master Su Yuntian forced himself to calm down a little and nodded his head. Su Yuntian naturally didn't have any doubts about his grandson. He took the medicine bottle from Su Yi's hand and felt that there was some kind of spirit liquid inside. He raised his head and drank it. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began to refine it. You guys too. Cultivate in seclusion for the next few days. Su Yi also gave the wolf-headed demon bat and the Xianyang golden demon falcon a portion of spirit liquid each and let them cultivate. This is your grandfather? He doesn't seem to be injured. The blood jade spirit ginseng was still surprised. It carefully observed Su Yuntian. He definitely didn't seem to be injured. This is a long story. I'll explain it to Grandpa Ginseng in the future. Sui also smiled bitterly. Although he didn't know what kind of pill Elder Su had given his grandfather, he was certain that it was definitely not inferior to the profound essence soaring dragon pill. Moreover, Elder Su had personally treated his grandfather's injuries, allowing his grandfather to recover completely. This is a great treasure. When he sat down cross-legged, the spirit liquid dissolved in his mouth. Under the impact of the rich energy, Old Master Su Yuntian's complexion changed greatly. The various benefits were indescribable, but he was the clearest about them. The wolf-head demonic bat and the Xianyang golden demonic falcon knew what kind of treasure it was. They had already obtained great benefits in this mysterious space. Now that they had obtained the spirit liquid, their eyes were filled with gratitude. They retreated in awe and prepared to refine the spirit liquid. The quiet room had been sealed by his grandfather. Sui also planned to cultivate in seclusion in the mysterious space for the next few days. Firstly, he wanted to stabilize his cultivation at the 9th level origin spirit realm. Secondly, he had also agreed to Ling Qianxue's request. Originally, Sui wanted to see one. However, when he heard that there were people coming to Barbarian City from the Sacred Mountain, Sui decided to enter the mysterious space at the last minute. He wanted his grandfather to improve a little so that he could also improve a little. Time passed slowly. Everything was calm in the mysterious space. Only the wolf-head demonic bat, the Xianyang golden demonic falcon, Su Yuntian and Su Yi were surrounded by light. After muttering for a while, the blood jade spirit ginseng returned to the herb field and hid in the dense spiritual herbs. At this moment, no one could see that the pale golden egg that Su Yi had thrown into the mysterious space had unknowingly started to emit a faint light. In this mysterious space, there was a surge of energy gathering and continuously flowing into it. On the pale golden egg, there were mysterious ancient runes spreading out as if they were connected by meridians. It emitted an ancient aura that was incomparably mysterious. As time passed, the light on the pale golden egg became more and more dazzling, and it was filled with a blazing aura. In the end, the pale golden egg seemed to have sensed something. It actually started to roll towards the center of the mysterious space, and its target was the spiritual liquid pool. No one noticed that the egg seemed to have eyes at this moment. It actually rolled to the side of the spiritual liquid pool and smashed its head into the spiritual liquid pool. Gulyalu, the spiritual liquid pool rippled. The mysterious ancient runes on the pale golden egg seemed to have come alive and started to devour the spiritual liquid. This pale golden egg was like a bottomless pit, endlessly absorbing the spiritual liquid. As the spiritual liquid was being absorbed, the light on the pale golden egg became more and more dazzling. However, Su Yi was immersed in his cultivation and did not notice this. Otherwise, Su Yi would probably be heartbroken. The spiritual liquid was his flesh and blood. Barbarian City was shrouded in a tense atmosphere for no reason. Recently, many savage beasts had appeared outside Barbarian City, which made the entire city very nervous. The 5 great clans were also very serious about this matter, and did not dare to be careless. Every clan sent out experts to form teams and go out of the city to investigate. In this tense atmosphere, there was one thing that the entire city was looking forward to. Lu Ruashi was going to return to Barbarian City from Sacred Mountain to visit her family. It's been more than 3 years, almost 4 years. It's said that Lu Ruashi is also a key training target in Sacred Mountain. I reckon her cultivation is not what it used to be. Every disciple of Sacred Mountain is a future expert. Lu Ruashi was tested to have royal-level talent. She must be a key training target in Sacred Mountain. Her strength must have improved greatly. She's the pride of our Barbarian City. Speaking of which, Lu Ruashi and Su Yi were engaged. It's a pity that Su-yi was unlucky and met with an accident on his way to Sacred Mountain. Although Su-yi is naughty and mischievous, he seems to have changed a lot in the 3 years in Savage Demon Forest. What a pity! There were people everywhere talking about the pride of Barbarian City. Some people also thought of Su-yi and felt sorry for Su-yi. Since Su-yi's battle with Ji Chao in Barbarian City, many people in Barbarian City had changed their impression of Su-yi. The Liu family was decorated with lanterns and colored banners as if it was a festival. Clean this place. Miss will be back in 2 days. And this, clean it up carefully. Inside and outside the Liu family, the housekeeper arranged for the servants to be busy preparing for Liu Ruoshi's return. In the vast mountain range, countless beasts roared and hissed for a long time. Whoosh, in the void, a huge bird spread its wings and flew at an extremely fast speed. There were several figures sitting on its back. A beautiful figure stood in the wind, but her clothes did not move. She was only 16 or 17 years old. Her skin was whiter than snow, and her face was incomparably beautiful. Looking at the boundless mountains below, the girl's brilliant and beautiful face was silent. Junior Sister Ruoshi, Barbarian City should be not far ahead. Chapter 6:12. Yes, we're almost there. The red-clothed girl turned her head and smiled, coming back to her senses. Everyone, be careful. This place doesn't seem normal. An old man spoke, and the person who was sitting cross-legged suddenly stood up. The old man looked like he was in his 60s. He was dressed in plain clothes and his back was slightly hunched. He had a slightly wrinkled face and his eyes were shining brightly. Uncle Guan, what did you find? The girl in red turned around and looked at the old man with a pair of clear and bright eyes. She looked at the old man with respect. Miss, there is the aura of a barbaric beast here. It's very strong. The old man spoke as he looked around. His eyes were shining and his expression was serious. Everyone, be careful. The girl in red immediately became alert. Her curves were exquisite under her red clothes. Her dress swayed slightly. At this moment, she was on the back of a barbaric beast. She looked even more charming and arrogant. Suddenly, the roars of many beasts were getting closer and closer. Suddenly, many barbaric beasts rose into the air from all directions. In an instant, many large barbaric beasts rose into the air. Their fierce eyes were frightening. In front of these large beasts, there was a red light and a middle-aged man with long red hair appeared. This middle-aged man was dressed in yellow and had a red cloak that fluttered in the wind. There were secret runes that looked like armor and scales on it. His aura was powerful and frightening. When this middle-aged man appeared, the temperature in the air suddenly rose. It made one's skin burn and vitality rose in one's body. It was difficult to breathe. Demon Emperor Realm. The old man's expression changed as he looked at the red-haired middle-aged man in the air. Are they all humans? The red-haired middle-aged man's gaze swept across the group. His red eyes were shining and his aura was frightening. If Su-yi was here, he would be able to tell that this red-haired middle-aged man was none other than the Blazing Dragon Emperor. We are from the Saint Mountain. Sir, please step back. The old man looked at the red-haired middle-aged man and his expression changed. However, his expression soon returned to normal. As a member of the Saint Mountain, not everyone dared to provoke them. So what if you're from the Sacred Mountain? Don't threaten me. I'm a demon emperor of the demonic beast. Why would I be afraid of your Sacred Mountain? The Blazing Dragon Emperor glanced at him. For some unknown reason, he seemed to be in a bad mood. After he spoke, his figure had already broken through the air like a ghost and directly appeared in front of the plain-looking old man. Chi-la, the claw reached out as if tearing through the void, bringing with it a sea of crimson fire that filled the sky. You guys go first, I'll find you later. The old man's expression changed drastically. At the same time, He condensed a handprint. Instead of retreating, he advanced. His figure instantly turned into a blurry shadow. He clenched his fist, and it seemed to distort the void. With a sharp gust of wind, he directly collided with the old man's claw. Bang! A low muffled sound rang out. The void trembled, and terrifying winds swept outwards. Listen to Uncle Guan, let's retreat quickly. A burly man on the back of the flying brute beast spoke. Goo, the bird screeched as its aura erupted. It immediately left at lightning speed. Awoo! Seeing this, several large barbaric beasts roared and immediately chased after them. Evil beast, the sacred mountain is not something you can provoke. Seeing that the red-clothed girl and the others had already left, the old man's expression immediately sank. The aura that erupted from his slightly hunched body was incomparably terrifying. It was not much weaker than the blazing dragon emperor. Humph! The blazing dragon emperor snorted. His gaze was gloomy. A powerful blazing aura accompanied by a terrifying baleful aura suddenly burst out. His figure was like a crimson light as he directly shot towards the old man. Evil beast, how dare you! The old man's expression was cold. His eyes flickered as he watched the crimson figure rapidly approaching. He directly slapped out with his hand, condensing a handprint that seemed to carry the energy of heaven and earth. Insignificant human! The blazing dragon emperor roared. A crimson light swept out like a raging flame, accompanied by a baleful aura that enveloped half of the void. The two fists collided, and blazing energy spread out in all directions. Bang! The two collided, and the light was resplendent. The sky rumbled like thunder, and an unparalleled force suddenly burst out. The blazing aura swept out like a storm, like a sun rising in the night sky, illuminating the barbaric demon forest. The old man was forced back, but the blazing dragon emperor did not seem to have the upper hand. The blazing dragon emperor staggered as his expression darkened. It seemed that he did not expect the former to be so powerful. His eyes slightly sunk, and his body flew out once again. At the same time, a blazing aura swept out as if the world was on fire. The raging flames spread out and covered the void. Awoo! In an instant, the blazing dragon emperor transformed into his true form, a dragon that was dozens of feet long, and then stretched across the void. Walala! The flames around the blazing dragon emperor's huge body were like waves that drowned his body. His crimson eyes were like volcanoes, and there were clusters of flames dancing on his head. So it's a blazing dragon. Looking at the blazing dragon emperor's true form, the old man's gaze trembled fiercely. Awoo! The dragon roared like thunder, and the scales on the blazing dragon emperor's body opened up. A pair of crimson wings flapped, and flames erupted like a volcano, sweeping out in all directions. In a flash, he took advantage of the situation, and his body soared into the sky, once again launching an attack. Humph! The old man's gaze turned serious, and at the same time, a terrifying aura erupted from his body. An invisible pressure spread out from the void, colliding with the blazing dragon emperor. Human, die! The blazing dragon emperor seemed to be especially angry today. With a flap of his wings, his body suddenly turned around and swooped down. Monstrous flames surged out from his body and formed a wave of fire that enveloped the old man with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. The blazing wave of fire covered half of the sky, and the intense heat caused the surrounding void to emit white smoke. This high temperature caused the old man's expression to change. Swish! In the monstrous wave of fire, the blazing dragon emperor's huge dragon body was faintly discernible. A flaming claw distorted the void and enveloped the old man. The old man's face completely sank. He formed a hand seal, and his body was wrapped in light. A vast aura soared into the sky, and a terrifying aura directly blocked the blazing dragon emperor. Awoo! The beasts roared like thunder, and there were brute demon beasts everywhere. Retreat, quick! Loud shouts and muffled collisions rang out. Many figures were surrounded, and they were fiercely fighting with a group of brute demon beasts. Swish, a ferocious brute demon beast opened its bloody mouth and bit a person to pieces. Blood flowed out from its fangs, causing people to tremble in fear. Roar. A huge beast roared, and its huge hoof fell down. A person was trampled into meat paste, and blood spurted out from under the huge beast's hoof. Run, quick! Screams and shouts continued, and the remaining figures retreated in panic. Chapter 6:13. Early in the morning, the silhouettes of the mountain peaks emerged from the darkness. Thousands of mountains began to awaken, and the morning clouds began to rise. The streets of Barbarian City began to be filled with vitality. Guji, outside Barbarian City, a gigantic flying barbaric beast flapped its wings and arrived. It stirred up a gust of wind, causing the forest below to undulate. Several figures stood on top of it. Who is that? Someone on the city wall saw the approaching figure and immediately prepared for battle. The gigantic flying barbaric beast circled and appeared outside Barbarian City in an instant. Several figures stood there. They were all quite young. Their robes fluttered in the wind, and their temperaments were extraordinary. The oldest one was only a middle-aged beauty. Her eyes were glowing, and her aura was inexplicably dignified. The one in the lead was a red-clothed girl. She was incomparably beautiful. She was young, but her figure was already peerless. The young lady is back. Quickly report to the Patriarch that the young lady is back. On the city wall, the disciples of the Lu clan were overjoyed when they saw the red-clothed girl. They were inexplicably excited. The celestial-like newcomer and the fairy-like young lady was none other than the eldest daughter of the Lu family, Lu Ruashi. Whoosh! Lu Ruashi's eyes flickered as she looked at Barbarian City. She then jumped down from the back of the flying barbaric beast. Her graceful figure's robes fluttered slightly. 2 streaks of red yuan qi were visible to the naked eye from the soles of Lu Ruashi's feet. They were like 2 clouds of fire. Lu Ruashi's body glided down like a falling leaf with the help of the impact force. She landed gracefully in front of Barbarian City's gate. Her moving figure was peerless. Many people on the city wall were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. They were not only shocked by her amazing strength, but also by her stunning figure. Her beautiful figure was like a fairy who had descended to the mortal world. Seeing Lu Ruashi jump down from the back of the flying barbaric beast, several figures followed suit. Each of them had a stunning figure. When the city gate opened, the people of the Lu clan immediately came out to welcome them. The mounts of the Lu clan were already waiting for them. Lu Ruashi jumped onto the Lu clan's mount. She nodded slightly at the surrounding gazes and rode away. Miss Lu Ruashi is back. Is that Miss Lu Ruashi? The Lu clan's mount passing through Barbarian City caused a commotion. The news of Lu Ruashi's return to Barbarian City had spread like wildfire. Many people rushed out of the streets to catch a glimpse of her. She was the first girl in the Barbarian City to be able to enter a holy land like the Holy Mountain to cultivate. She was also highly valued by the Holy Mountain and was the pride of the entire Barbarian City. So beautiful! She's getting more and more moving. Is she a heavenly maiden? She's too beautiful. Too beautiful. It's a pity that Su-Yi won't have such good fortune. Lower your voice. Even if Su-Yi was still alive, I'm afraid he wouldn't be worthy of such a heavenly girl. Barbarian City was abuzz with discussion. This type of heavenly girl caused an uproar. Outside the main gate of the Lu family, the family head Lu Zongyuan and a group of relatives were already waiting outside. This is the pride of our Lu family. The elders and experts of the Lu clan were all extremely excited when they saw the woman in a fiery red robe flying towards them. Lu Ruashi was the pride of the Lu clan. Father! Lu Ruashi's graceful figure jumped down from her mount and bowed in front of Lu Zongyuan. There was a smile in her eyes, and it was incomparably moving. This was the family she had missed the most in these 3 years. Good girl, you've grown taller and more beautiful. You're indeed my daughter. Lu Zongyuan smiled, his heart surging with joy. Some of the Lu family members came forward to welcome the disciples of the Holy Mountain. Too beautiful. I reckon her strength must have reached an astonishing level. I'm afraid no one in the barbarian city is worthy of such a heavenly girl. It's said that Su Yi has already died. Otherwise there would be a chance. After all, this marriage was originally agreed upon by Old Master Su and the Lu clan. What kind of joke is this? Even if Su Yi is still alive, with his current status, how could he be worthy of Miss Lu Ruoshi? I heard that in the Holy Mountain, Miss Lu Ruoshi is also a disciple that is heavily nurtured. Discussions were everywhere. Lu Ruoshi's return immediately became the topic of discussion in the entire barbarian city. So what if it's the Holy Mountain? Wasn't that Ji Chao also defeated by Su Yi? Some people also felt injustice for Su Yi. They still remembered Su Yi. Back then, that Ji Chao from the Holy Mountain did not put the entire barbarian city in his eyes. In the end, it was Su Yi who appeared and defeated him, letting him know that the barbarian city was not a place that anyone could bully. First seat, speaking of which, although Su Yi that brat was naughty and mischievous in the past, when he defeated that Ji Chao from the Holy Mountain, he was really valiant. Someone said. The scene back then was still vivid in his mind. Now that he thought about it, he felt extremely relieved. Lu family, a quiet courtyard. Let father take a look at my precious daughter. You've grown so tall and more beautiful. You're as beautiful as your mother. Lu Zongyuan looked at his daughter in front of him, his heart filled with joy. It was as if he could not see enough. Father, your praise is making your daughter embarrassed. Lu Ruoshi smiled. Her eyes were clear and bright like the stars. Her every movement seemed to overflow with spirituality. I'm speaking the truth, not praising. Lu Zongyuan smiled. The daughter in front of him was his pride. He then asked, You've only just returned. How long do you plan to stay? You should accompany father for a period of time? I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint father. It wasn't easy for me to ask the sect to allow me to come back and visit my family. At most in a few days, I'll have to leave and prepare to participate in the sacred martial assembly. Lu Ruoshi shook her head. She was also very reluctant to leave. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, and her lips were like orchids. Her skin was like frost and snow, as if it could be broken by the slightest breeze. Her figure was peerless. So it's like this, Sai. In the blink of an eye you've grown so big. I'm afraid the number of times I can see you will become less and less. If that's the case, I'm really regretting letting you go to the Holy Mountain. Lu Zongyuan was somewhat disappointed. All right, father, after your daughter becomes an expert, I'll definitely take more time to accompany you. Lu Ruoshi intimately held her father's arm and said coquettishly. There was an astonishing beauty between her brows that surpassed her age. All right, it's not like father doesn't understand. With your talent, your heaven and earth is no longer in the Lu family, nor is it in the barbarian city. In the future, the entire Lu family, the entire barbarian city, will have to rely on you. Lu Zongyuan faintly smiled. He was reluctant in his heart, but he understood that there were some things that he could not do. He could only place his hopes on his daughter. Patriarch, it's not good, it's not good. There was a hurried voice, as if something big had happened. A figure hurried over, his expression anxious. What happened? Lu Zongyuan's expression darkened. A moment later, in the great hall of the Lu family. Chapter 6:14. In the hall, the two middle-aged experts of the Lu clan were in a sorry state. Their faces were pale and there were traces of blood on their bodies. They had formed a team to investigate outside the city and encountered a large number of savage beasts. Only a few of them were able to escape. A large number of savage beasts, what is going on? Lu Zongyuan muttered with a serious expression. It was definitely not a good thing for so many savage beasts to gather outside the barbarian city. In addition to the recent movements outside the barbarian city, it seemed that something big was going to happen. Uncles, quickly take the pills. Lu Ruashi stepped forward and handed 2 healing pills to the 2 burly men. Thank you, Mississippi. The 2 men knew that the pills were extraordinary just by looking at them. Father, when we returned this time, we also encountered savage beasts in the barbarian demon forest. We even encountered a demon emperor-level savage beast. I don't know if it is related to this. Lu Ruashi frowned. Last night they also encountered danger. Fortunately, they managed to escape quickly. However, before Uncle Guan returned, they encountered a demon emperor-level expert. A demon emperor-level expert. Hearing this, the people of the Lu clan in the hall trembled and their expressions changed. To the barbarian city, this level was equivalent to a legendary existence. I hope that it is not related. Lu Zongyuan's expression was incomparably serious. If that demon emperor-level expert was related to the savage beasts that gathered outside the barbarian city, then it would be a disaster for the entire barbarian city. It would be a catastrophe. Could it be the Undying Sect? Suddenly, an old man of the Lu clan spoke. The gaze on his old face fiercely trembled. Undying Sect. These 3 words caused the expressions of the old men of the Lu clan to change. Lu Zongyuan's gaze also instantly froze. Father, what is the Undying Sect? Lu Ruashi asked doubtfully. She had never heard of the Undying Sect. You don't know because you were not born at that time. Lu Zongyuan regained his senses. His gaze was serious as he said, everything started from 20 years ago. Immediately, Lu Ruashi learned from her father that the Undying Sect was a power that was active in the barbarian demon forest. 20 years ago, the enemy that invaded Barbarian City was the Undying Sect. After a bloody battle, blood flowed like a river, and corpses were everywhere. At the most dangerous moment, the Su family's old man Su Yuntian led a suicide squad and killed the Undying Sect's invaders on the spot. This intimidated the Undying Sect and forced them to retreat. Before the people of the Undying Sect left, they said that they would make a comeback one day and take down Man City. An old man from the Lu clan had a solemn expression. Compared to the Undying Sect, Mancheng was too weak. Why is the Undying Sect so determined to obtain my Man City? Lu Ruashi narrowed her eyes and revealed a puzzled look. Barbarian City is located at the border, there aren't any special resources there. Since the Undying Sect's strength is not bad, why are you eyeing this kind of small border city? This Undying Sect is said to be very strange. Its origin is very mysterious, and it has existed for a long time. It has always existed in the barbaric demon forest, but it has never been too active. It comes and goes without a trace. An expert from the Lu clan said. They had investigated the Undying Sect before, but what they knew was limited. The Undying Sect existed in the barbaric demon forest, but there weren't many traces left behind. According to the legends of the older generation, our Man City has existed for a long time. It is rumored that our Man City also has many mysterious places. Many powers have wanted to get their hands on Man City, but no one has ever succeeded. It is located at a corner of the barbaric demon forest, but under normal circumstances, the barbaric demon beasts would never dare to approach Man City. An old man from the Lu clan said. These were the words of the older generation. Lu Ruashi's eyes moved. Thinking carefully, it was indeed so. At least she could feel that although there were many barbaric demon beasts outside Man City, there had never been any barbaric demon beasts that dared to approach Man City. Pass down the order, the whole city is on guard. Lu Zongyuan did not dare to be careless. He ordered people to pass down the order. The whole city must be on guard against the sudden attack of a strong enemy. Uncle Guan should be back soon. With Uncle Guan here, even the Undying sect should not be a problem. Lu Ruoxi spoke. Fortunately, Uncle Guan accompanied her this time. With Uncle Guan, the Undying sect should not be a problem. It is fortunate to have an expert from the Sacred Mountain accompanying you. I wonder when that expert will arrive? An old man from the Lu clan asked Lu Ruoxi. He saw hope in his heart. With an expert from the Sacred Mountain, if a strong enemy really came to attack Man City this time, there would naturally not be any problems. It should be soon. Lu Ruoxi spoke. Although the enemy was a demonic emperor expert, she was clear about Uncle Guan's strength. He should be able to deal with it. However, she did not know when Uncle Guan would be able to shake off the demonic emperor expert and catch up. That's right, father. I want to go to the Su clan to see old master Su Yuntian. After hesitating for a moment, Lu Ruoxi raised her eyes and said to Lu Zongyuan, "What? Go to the Su clan immediately?" The expressions of the old men from the Lu clan changed. Go. I heard that the old master is injured. Take some healing pills and send my regards to the old master. Lu Zongyuan nodded and faintly smiled. Isn't this a bit inappropriate? After all, someone spoke out. After all, Lu Ruoxi and Su Yi of the Su clan had a rather awkward relationship. Lu Zongyuan waved his hand and said, Su Yi is no longer here. The old master loves Su Yi dearly, so I'm afraid that he is not feeling well. Ruoxi going to see the old master is something that should be done. Seeing that Lu Zongyuan had also said this, no one else said anything else. I hope it's not the Undying sect. In the main hall of the Su clan, Su Jingting's expression was grave. The Undying sect doesn't seem to have any methods to control the barbaric demon beasts. This time, we only found barbaric demon beasts, and there seems to be more and more of them gathering. In the main hall, Su Baihan's complexion was pale. There were bloodstains on his body, and he emitted a terrifying baleful aura. When they went to investigate, they were surrounded by the barbaric demon beasts and lost many people. Only a few people were able to escape. The old master suddenly went into seclusion, so I can't see him. This matter is very serious. I'll go find the city lord and the other great clans to discuss and make preparations in advance, Su Jingting said. Master, this is bad. Outside the main hall, people of the Su clan came in panic. Why are you acting so rashly? What happened? Su Jingting raised his eyes and asked. A few people came, saying that they are disciples of the Sacred Mountain and want to see the master. The person who came said, his expression somewhat panicked. He knew about the relationship between Su Yi and the Sacred Mountain. The old master had even fought with the expert of the Sacred Mountain. Although young Master Su Wei was already a disciple of the Sacred Mountain, he did not know if it was a good thing or a bad thing for the people of the Sacred Mountain to come. Sacred Mountain, Su Jingting and Su Baihan heard this and their expressions changed. Let's welcome them. They hesitated for a moment, as if they had no other choice. Whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, they could not avoid it. A moment later, in the main hall of the Su clan, the old master and relatives of the Su clan were gathered, accompanied by Su Jingting. But sitting at the head of the table was a beautiful middle-aged woman and a few young disciples. Chapter 6:15. Although the young disciples of the Sacred Mountain were only in their 30s, the aura that was faintly discernible from their bodies made the faces of the elders of the Su clan present turn ugly. The young disciples of the Sacred Mountain seemed to be doing it on purpose, secretly releasing their aura to suppress the hall. The beautiful middle-aged woman looked to be in her 40s. Her face was calm and her temperament was graceful. She was embroidered with a badge on her body. Those who were familiar with her would know that it represented her status as a deacon of the Sacred Mountain. Although a deacon wasn't a very high position in the sacred mountain, it was a different position in the outside world. Su Jingting was seated beside her. At this moment, in front of the beautiful middle-aged woman, his expression did not reveal anything, but his heart was quite uneasy. Your son, Su Wei, did well in the sacred mountain. Congratulations. After some pleasantries, the beautiful middle-aged woman said to Su Jingting. Her words were very serious. Su Wei had indeed performed well in the sacred mountain, which was why she was still being polite. Thank you for your care, deacon. Thank you for the sacred mountain's nurturing. Hearing this, Su Jingting was secretly delighted. Since Su Wei could perform well in the sacred mountain, he would have a good future in the future. The elders of the Su clan were also overjoyed. Su Wei was a disciple of the Su clan. If he could perform well in the sacred mountain, the Su clan would also be protected in the future. Patriarch Su, there is another matter that I want to discuss with the Su clan today. The higher-ups of the sacred mountain have personally spoken about this matter. At the mention of the sacred mountain's higher-ups, the beautiful middle-aged woman's expression became respectful. Her expression was solemn as she sized Su Jingting up, as if she wanted to detect Su Jingting's reaction. Su Jingting's expression changed slightly and turned solemn. How could he not understand the meaning behind the beautiful woman's words? She deliberately mentioned the sacred mountain's higher-up. This was clearly reminding him that a mere substitute patriarch of the Su clan was nothing in front of the sacred mountain. Whatever the sacred mountain said, it was what it was. Su Jingting's eyes flickered, but his expression remained unchanged. He already had a guess in his heart. Other than Su Wei, who was currently in the Holy Mountain, the Su clan could only be related to Su Yi. It was said that Lu Ruoxi had already returned to the barbarian city, and the people from the Holy Mountain had also come to the Su residence. Su Jingting already had an idea in his heart that the purpose of the people from the Holy Mountain was probably related to Su Yi and Lu Ruoxi. 1. Oh, please speak, deacon. If the sacred mountain has any instructions, the Su clan will do our best, Su Jingting said. Patriarch Su's words are too serious. I came to the Su family this time to express my apologies. The Su family's disciple, Su Yi, met with misfortune on the way to the Holy Mountain. Our Holy Mountain is also responsible, the beautiful middle-aged woman said faintly. Fortune and misfortune are unpredictable. No one would have expected this to happen. If this is really just an accident, then it's my nephew's good fortune that he didn't manage to ascend the sacred mountain. If there's a hidden story behind this matter, Jingting believes that one day the justice of heaven will be able to catch up. Su Jingting said indifferently. Hearing Su Jingting's words, the gazes of everyone present changed. The beautiful middle-aged woman's expression also changed a lot. She looked at Su Jingting and said, Patriarch Su's words seem to imply that Su Yi's death has something to do with our holy mountain? I wouldn't dare. This is definitely not what I meant. Deacon, please don't misunderstand this, Su Jingting said. Yes, Deacon, this is definitely not what the patriarch meant. A few of the Su clan's relatives also spoke up, trying to smooth things over. This time, I came to the Su residence on behalf of the Holy Mountain to express my condolences on Su Yi's death. The beautiful middle-aged woman said, as if she didn't take Su Jingting's words to heart. The thoughts of the insignificant Su clan were not important to the Holy Mountain. As soon as she finished speaking, the beautiful middle-aged woman gave a look. A young man beside her stepped forward with an indifferent expression. He took out a jade box and handed it to Su Jingting. Su Jingting was surprised. He took the jade box and carefully opened it. A strong medicinal fragrance suddenly rushed out, spreading out and dazzling. A thumb-sized elixir that was emitting golden light appeared. Accompanied by a wave of energy, there was a faint sound of wind and thunder as if it was alive. Looking at the jade box in Su Jingting's hand, the expressions of the Su clan's relatives changed drastically. Although they didn't know the origin of this elixir, they couldn't be sure that it was definitely a treasure. Such an elixir made Su Jingting's expression change drastically. This was definitely not an ordinary item. It was definitely a treasure. This is the Golden Lightning Heavenly Yuan elixir. It's almost at the initial stage Huang grade. Consider it as an apology to the Su clan. The beautiful middle-aged woman looked at the expression on Su Jingting's face and revealed a faint smile in her eyes. This kind of treasure was something that the small Su clan would not be able to possess even if they were to sell off all their asset. This time around, the higher-ups were actually treating the Su clan in such a manner. This Golden Lightning Heavenly Yuan pill possessed an absolute allure even to her. It's a treasure. Hearing the beautiful middle-aged woman's words, the Su clan's relatives were excited. They wouldn't even have the chance to see such a treasure in their lifetime, let alone own it. The Su clan is flattered by the sacred mountain's grace. We dare not accept it. Deacon, please tell us what the Su clan can do for the sacred mountain. Su Jingting said without showing any expression. The sacred mountain was so generous, how could they give it to the Su clan for nothing? A Golden Lightning Heavenly Yuan elixir, that was almost at the initial stage Huang grade, was such a treasure. The entire Su clan couldn't afford it even if they sold all their asset. Normally, this would be enough to make Su Jingting's heart tremble. But recently, the experts from Xinjian Gate came and gave them treasures such as the Golden Lightning Heavenly Yuan elixir. Just the Golden Lightning Heavenly Yuan elixir alone was already a true initial stage Huang grade elixir. It's like this. Regarding the marriage between Su Yi and our Sacred Mountain's disciple, Lu Ruoxi, although it's just a joke, Su Yi is dead now. This marriage contract actually doesn't exist anymore. So from now on, the marriage contract between the Su clan and Lu clan will come to an end. The beautiful middle-aged woman said to Su Jingting. This, Su Yi is dead. This marriage contract no longer exists. Hearing this, the Su clan's relatives whispered inwardly. The sacred mountain had already sent such a generous gift to the Su clan. Since Su Yi was dead, the marriage contract naturally didn't exist anymore. Su Jingting's face sank. He didn't say anything. He gently closed the jade box in his hand and put it aside. What did the Su clan's patriarch say? Seeing this, the beautiful middle-aged woman looked indifferent and asked faintly. Chapter 6:16. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Jingting gently pushed the jade box in front of the middle-aged woman. Seeing Su Jingting push such a precious treasure back, the Su clan relatives' faces darkened. They felt their hearts ache. Such a precious treasure was not something the Su clan could afford even if they sold their entire fortune. Seeing Su Jingting's action, the Sacred Mountain's people's faces darkened. This was something no one had expected. Patriarch Su, what do you mean? Are you looking down on our sacred mountain? The middle-aged woman's face darkened as she looked at Su Jingting indifferently. I wouldn't dare. It's just that the sacred mountain is so generous, Jingting dares not accept it. Su Jingting raised his eyes and said to the middle-aged woman. His expression was neither servile nor overbearing. I advise Patriarch Su to consider it carefully. Our sacred mountain is only informing the Su clan about this matter. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. The middle-aged woman's face darkened completely. A small Su clan actually did not know how to appreciate kindness. She said in a deep voice, even if Patriarch Su doesn't consider the Su clan, don't forget that your son is now a disciple of the sacred mountain. Speaking of which, the Su clan and our sacred mountain are not outsiders. The middle-aged woman's indifferent tone made the air in the hall freeze for no reason. It was as if there was a chill quietly spreading in the air. The expressions of the Su family's clan relatives darkened. They could all sense that the deacon from the sacred mountain was clearly enraged. Offending a deacon from the sacred mountain was definitely not a good thing for the Su family. Su Jingting's eyes flickered. He quietly clenched his fists, then relaxed them. He secretly took a deep breath, got up and cupped his fist. He continued to speak to the middle-aged woman, "Thank you for taking care of my son in the sacred mountain. But I really can't make the decision now, so I naturally dare not accept such a valuable gift." Hearing Su Jingting's words, the beautiful middle-aged woman's face became completely gloomy. She snorted coldly and stood up. Her gloomy face was not expressed in words. Without any reservation, she said in a deep voice, "Master Su, let's end this matter here. This matter is just to inform the Su family that the engagement between the Su family and the Lu family has been cancelled. That's it, let's go." As soon as she finished speaking, the middle-aged woman waved her hand and stood up to leave. The few young disciples also looked indifferent. Their gazes swept across the Su family members in the hall, and with a faint coldness they directly left. "Sir Deacon, please wait," Su Jingting said. "Patriarch Su, do you have anything else to say?" The middle-aged woman stopped and turned around to look at Su Jingting. Her eyes flickered slightly as she thought that Su Jingting had an idea. "Deacon, please take this pill back. The Su clan is ashamed to accept it." Su Jingting stepped forward and handed the jade box to the beautiful middle-aged woman. "Su family, good, very good." The middle-aged woman was stunned for a moment. Then, she took the pill from Su Jingting's hand and walked away with a cold smile on her face. "See him off, Deacon." Su Jingting's expression turned serious as he instructed the servants to see the guests out. "Sir Deacon, please don't be angry." The faces of several Su clan elders changed greatly. They looked uneasy and immediately stood up to send him off. "Patriarch, now that we've offended the sacred mountain, I'm afraid that in the future, there were still a few Su clan elders who did not leave. Their faces were solemn. They were worried that they had offended someone from the holy mountain, not to mention that Su Wei was still in the holy mountain. The marriage agreement between the old patriarch and the Lu clan should be cancelled by the old patriarch and the Lu clan," Su Jingting said. "But Su Yi is dead. This marriage agreement has no meaning. There is really no need to offend the holy mountain for this." An elder of the Su clan spoke. Su Yi was dead, so the marriage agreement itself had no meaning. Su Wei was still in the holy mountain, and they were afraid that he would be greatly affected in the future. "Su Yi is dead. That is what the holy mountain said. Dead without a corpse. What if Su Yi is not dead?" Su Jingting said, waving his sleeves, and said to the crowd, "There is no need to mention this in the future. Let it be." Sigh. Hearing this, several elders of the Su clan sighed. Offending the holy mountain for the dead Su Yi was definitely not a wise decision. "Patriarch, Patriarch," a servant of the Su clan hurried over, looking quite surprised and anxious. "What's the matter?" Su Jingting asked with a slightly gloomy face. "Miss Lu Ruoshi of the Lu clan is here. She said she wants to see the old patriarch." The servant of the Su clan spoke, his heart still trembling. Such a woman was like a celestial being, and he did not dare to look straight at her. Lu Ruoshi, hearing this, Su Jingting's face was suddenly surprised and puzzled. A moment later, in the hall of the Su clan, Lu Ruoshi walked in with light steps, bowed, and said to Su Jingting, "Ruoshi greets Uncle Su." I don't dare. Are you trying to make me look bad?" Su Jingting was shocked. Looking at such a woman in front of him, she was like a celestial being, like a banished immortal. She was a disciple of the holy mountain, and it was said that she was also highly valued by the holy mountain. "Uncle Su is too polite. I haven't seen Uncle Su for many years. Uncle Su is still as elegant as ever." Lu Ruoshi stood up with a charming smile. "I haven't seen you for many years, and you've grown up. I'm ashamed." Su Jingting said as he looked at the girl in front of him. It had been several years since they last met, and the little girl had already grown into such a beautiful girl. The invisible aura emanating from her made him feel apprehensive. Compared to the deacon of the sacred mountain he had just faced, the pressure was much greater. H3 I didn't know that I met the people from the holy mountain just now. I apologize if I have caused any inconvenience and impact to Uncle Sue and the Sioux clan. I hope Uncle Sue and the elders can forgive me. Lu Ruashi bowed. She saw the people from the holy mountain leave at the gate just now, and judging from their expressions, it seemed that the meeting was not very pleasant. The people from the holy mountain secretly came to the Sioux clan. Lu Ruashi did not need to think too much to know what had happened. I don't deserve this. Please get up. Su Jingting's expression darkened, and he immediately helped Lu Ruashi up. Miss Lu, you're too polite. A few elders of the Sioux clan also immediately apologized. Lu Ruashi's identity was different from before. She was the most valued disciple of the Holy Mountain. How could the small Sioux clan compare to her? I heard that the old master is injured, so my father specially sent me to come and greet him. I still remember when we were young, the old master's demeanor was outstanding. This is a small token of my sincerity. I hope Uncle Sue can decline it. Otherwise, I can't go back and answer to my father. As Lu Ruashi's voice faded, she handed a bottle of medicine to Su Jingting with a sincere expression. This. Chapter 6:17. Uncle Sue, you're too polite. Since the old master is in seclusion, Ruashi won't disturb you any longer. I'll visit the old master another day. Lu Ruashi bowed and left. I'll send you off. Su Jingting and the Sioux family's relatives didn't dare to be careless. Uncle Sue, please wait. Lu Ruashi smiled and hesitated for a moment. She looked like she wanted to say something but stopped herself. In the end, she opened her mouth and asked Su Jingting, Uncle Sue, do you have any news about Su? Su Jingting was surprised, and the Sioux family's elders were also puzzled. Miss Lu, don't you know that Su met with a mishap on the way to the Holy Mountain? One of the elders asked. Is that so? Lu Ruashi's expression didn't change, but her eyes were shrouded in a dark shadow, adding a touch of unfathomable emotion. Uncle Sue, please restrain your grief. After a moment of silence, Lu Ruashi bowed and left. Su Jingting and the Sioux family's relatives sent her off to the gate. The beautiful female deacon from the Holy Mountain was waiting outside and seemed to have met Lu Ruashi at the gate. Uncle Sue, please return. Lu Ruashi bid farewell and left on her mount. The beautiful middle-aged woman from the Holy Mountain looked at Su Jingting and the others with a displeased expression. Her eyes were indifferent as she left with Lu Ruashi. Patriarch, I'm afraid our Sioux family has offended the Holy Mountain. Watching the Holy Mountain's people leave, a few of the Sioux family's relatives looked solemn and worried. The Holy Mountain was a colossus that the Sioux family couldn't afford to offend. Although the Holy Mountain is big and our Sioux family is small, the mountain is high and the water is far away. Our Sioux family can't ask the Holy Mountain for anything. Don't mention this matter again in the future. If the old master wasn't in seclusion, he would have handled it the same way. Su Jingting's expression darkened a little. He was not angry, but he was imposing. The elders didn't dare to say anything. Although the old master wasn't around, he still had some influence. They knew the old master's temper. Although Su had already met with misfortune, and the engagement was as good as useless, the attitude of the sacred mountain when they came to the Sioux family and threw down the pill was undoubtedly a great humiliation to the Sioux family. If the Sioux family was a colossus and the Holy Mountain was just a small Sioux family, how could the people from the Holy Mountain dare to have such an attitude? It's just that Su is still in the Holy Mountain. Our Sioux family has offended the Holy Mountain. I'm afraid Su Wei will not have an easy time in the Holy Mountain. If someone makes things difficult for Su, what should we do? Some elders were worried. Right now, Su Wei was the future and hope of the Su family. If his future was delayed because of this, it would affect the entire Su family. We're just doing what the Su family should do. Let nature take its course, Su Jingting said. He held the medicine bottle in his hand and seemed to be deep in thought. Family head, you said that Lu Ruoxi is here. What's going on? Could it be that Lu Ruoxi really doesn't know about this? Some people of the Su family were puzzled. It seemed that Lu Ruoxi's attitude was completely different from the attitude of the deacon of the Holy Mountain. Was this intentional or was she really unaware? These elders couldn't understand. It's been a few years since we last met. Lu Ruoxi has grown up, as expected of a disciple valued by the Holy Mountain. Lu Zongyuan has a good daughter. Su Jingting said softly. He had seen many people, so how could he not see that today Lu Ruoxi was even more different than before? He could feel her every movement and action. It's a pity that Su Yi brat is so lucky, Su Jingting sighed with regret. Such a young girl, a phoenix that flew out from a small barbarian city. It was a pity that Su Yi's luck wasn't good. Otherwise, with the promise made by the old man and the Lu family, this could be considered the Su family's fortune. It's a pity that the Golden Lightning Heavenly Origin pill is almost at the Huang grade. That's a great treasure. If it's consumed, it can immediately increase one's cultivation. Some relatives of the Su family were still talking about the Gold Thunder Heaven primary elixir that was returned. They had never seen an elixir at the high level of the star grade in their lives. Such a precious treasure might be worth several times the value of the Su family, but it was returned. Su Jingting didn't say much. The Golden Lightning Heavenly Origin pill was indeed a great treasure. If it was before, he would most likely be reluctant to part with it. But at this moment, Su Jingting's heart was much calmer. He wasn't too moved by it. The cultivation resources brought by the experts of the Xinjian Gate were far from what the Golden Lightning Heavenly Origin pill could compare with. Rumble, the Lu family's mount sped away, raising a cloud of dust. Deacon Wang, this is after all a barbarian city. Next time you go to the Su family, please let me know. On the mount, Lu Ruoxi said to the beautiful middle-aged woman with a calm expression. But the meaning in her words wasn't expressed in words. There was an invisible sharpness in her words. Saintess, this is the Holy Master's idea. Su Yi is dead, and the marriage agreement is not valid. If the Su family doesn't know how to appreciate favors and doesn't want to let go of this matter, then, the beautiful middle-aged woman said with a trace of coldness in her eyes. I've said it before. Next time you go to the Su family, please let me know. I don't want to repeat myself. As for the Holy Master, I'll explain it to him when the time comes. W% Lu Ruoxi's eyes flickered slightly. She looked at the beautiful middle-aged woman with an inexplicable sense of majesty. Yes, Saintess. The beautiful middle-aged woman's eyes changed a little. She seemed to be afraid of something and nodded. Outside the barbarian city there were continuous mountains. Huge mountains rose one after another, and forests were connected. Ancient trees towered into the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Vines were entwined around the mountains, and the trees were long and strong like horned dragons. Another day, when night fell, the roars of beasts could be heard outside the barbarian city. The whole barbarian city was shaking, and it was frightening. Did something really happen? On the city tower, the experts of the 5 great families gathered, and all of them had a serious expression. Many barbaric beasts are getting closer and closer. The head of the Mo family, Mo Lai, frowned and squinted his eyes. His slightly plump body was covered in a tight robe. He looked like he was in his 40s, but it didn't match his age. If the army of barbaric beasts attacks the barbarian city, the consequences will be unimaginable. The head of the He family, He Yiquan, said. He had a broad head and a big face. He looked into the distance with a serious expression. If the army of barbaric beasts attacks the barbarian city, the consequences will be more serious than when the Undying sect attacked the barbarian city. The head of the Song family, Song Ming, said. He still remembered the bloody scene when the Undying sect attacked the barbarian city. He almost lost his life in that bloody battle. Chapter 6:18. These barbaric beasts are getting restless. They have been gathering for so long and their numbers are increasing. Why aren't they attacking? Are we thinking too much? One of the experts from the 5 great clans asked with a glimmer of hope. These barbaric beasts are waiting for stronger barbaric beasts to come. When that time comes, they will really attack. Su Jingting said. He had been training outside the barbarian demon forest and knew a lot about these barbaric beasts. These barbaric beasts gathering here definitely wasn't simple. Once the stronger barbaric beasts arrived, it would be the time for them to attack. It would also be the beginning of Barbarian City's nightmare. Someone took a deep breath. If more barbaric beasts came, how would Barbarian City be able to defend against them? Patriarch Su, how is the old man's body now? This is such a big matter, have you told him about it? One of the experts from the 5 great clans asked Su Jingting. Patriarch Su Yuntian was the backbone of Barbarian City now. 20 years ago, during the bloody battle with the Undying sect, all the experts in Barbarian City died in the battle. At the critical moment, Patriarch Su led the Su clan's suicide squad and killed the enemy. From then on, Patriarch Su Yuntian was the backbone of Barbarian City. Patriarch Su Yuntian, my father is in seclusion. Even I can't see him. Su Jingting didn't hide it. He was also curious why his father suddenly went into seclusion and even ordered that no one was to disturb him. Hearing this, everyone's face darkened. Patriarch Su, I heard that Patriarch Su's injuries haven't healed yet. How is he now? Patriarch Mo Lai of the Mo clan asked. Patriarch Su was injured by Wang Chuanda of the Sacred Mountain. Everyone in Barbarian City knew about this. It wasn't a secret. Especially the people from the various great clans, they all knew that Patriarch Su's injuries hadn't healed. Hearing Su Jingting's words, they couldn't help but feel worried. If Patriarch Su Yuntian's injuries were fine, Barbarian City would have a backbone. If something happened to Patriarch Su Yuntian, Barbarian City would be in even more danger. Everyone, don't worry. My father's injuries are fine. Su Jingting did not hide anything. The mysterious expert had appeared in the Su family, and the old man's injuries were almost healed. In addition, the expert from Xinjian Gate had come this time. Su Jingting guessed that it might have something to do with his father's injuries. His father might be in seclusion to heal. Hearing Su Jingting's words, everyone was secretly moved. They didn't know if Su Jingting was telling the truth. A while ago, they had heard that the old man's injuries seemed to be getting worse. City Lord, I heard that your daughter has returned from the Holy Mountain. I wonder what kind of experts have come from the Holy Mountain this time? Someone from the 5 clans asked. Lu Ruashi had returned to Man City. If there were strong cultivators among the people from the Sacred Mountain who could help Man City, they wouldn't have to worry about those demonic beasts. Hearing this, everyone's gaze also landed on Lu Zongyuan. Everyone knew that even though Lu Ruashi had returned and was an important disciple of the Sacred Mountain, she was still very young. No matter how strong she was, it would be impossible for her to grow much stronger in just a few years. But if there were strong cultivators from the Sacred Mountain, as long as they could help Man City, it would be enough to solve the problem of Man City. There are strong cultivators from the Sacred Mountain, but there were some accidents on the way and they were delayed. But they should be able to come to Man City as soon as possible. Lu Zongyuan said. He knew what everyone was thinking, but he had no way of knowing when the strong cultivator from the Sacred Mountain that his daughter had mentioned would arrive. I hope that strong cultivator can arrive in time. Everyone sighed. But when they heard that there were strong cultivators from the sacred mountain coming this time, they secretly relaxed a little. With Lu Ruashi's relationship, and the Mo family, Song family, He family, and Su family all had disciples in the sacred mountain. Once Man City was in danger, the strong cultivators from the sacred mountain would not just stand by and do nothing. They would definitely help. All clans will send out strong cultivators to patrol day and night. Make arrangements for the old, young, and women in the city. City Lord Lu Zongyuan said. No one knew when the strong cultivator from the sacred mountain would arrive. Moreover, this was Man City's matter, so in the end, they still had to rely on Man City. Time slowly passed by. Within the mysterious space, within the spiritual liquid pool, there was a pale golden egg. At this moment it was sparkling. The patterns on its surface were glowing, as if there was red blood flowing within it. It was suffused with an ancient pressure. However, at this moment the spiritual liquid pool, which was almost filled to the brim with spiritual liquid, was completely absorbed by the pale golden egg. Not even a single drop was left. The pale golden egg became more and more dazzling, faintly emitting the sound of wind and thunder. Su-yi, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes at a certain moment. His eyes were crimson red like crimson lightning. His aura fluctuated, causing his robes to flutter. There was an indescribable aura of destruction. Immediately, Su-yi's gaze became introverted, returning to its deep and tenacious state, revealing a kind of spirituality. His entire person seemed to emanate an extraordinary aura from inside out. With one look, one could tell that he was not ordinary. With a smile at the corner of his eyes, Su-yi looked within himself. He knew that his current situation had stabilized at level 9 origin spirit stage. Although his cultivation level had only risen by a small level, his battle prowess had undoubtedly risen as well, taking another step forward. Level 9 Origin Spirit Stage was only a step away from Yuan Zhen Stage. Although this step was something that many people would not be able to take in their entire lives, Su-yi had confidence in himself. It would not be long before he would definitely be able to break through this step. Yuan Zhen Stage, Yuan Spirit Stage. Only then would he be able to take another step forward. However, Su-yi was also in a dilemma. If he were to cultivate the Great Void Spirit Sea, although it might seem like a step away from Yuan Zhen Stage to Yuan Spirit Stage, in reality, it would be a narrow escape. However, once he was able to successfully cultivate it, it was easy to imagine that he would be truly invincible amongst those of the same level and cultivation level. He would be able to sweep away all opponents of the same level, which would be very frightening. Let's cultivate properly first. When the time comes, everything will be alright. Su-yi mumbled to himself. Since it was not yet time for him to break through, he would decide when the time came. Suddenly, Su-yi seemed to have sensed something. His gaze immediately turned towards the place where he sensed it. It was the spiritual liquid pool that he valued the most. At this moment, there was an extremely strong fluctuation emanating from it. His heart tightened. That was the spiritual liquid pool that he valued the most. Su-yi immediately flew over. When he saw the scene within the spiritual liquid pool, Su-yi was immediately dumbfounded. The spiritual liquid pool that was originally almost completely filled had now dried up. A faint golden egg was emitting a dazzling radiance within the spiritual liquid pool. It glistened with a scarlet light, and an ancient aura emanated from it. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.